Welcome to Sparta, Kentucky. We're at the Kentucky Speedway for the Built Ford Tough 225 on Speed Channel. Rain has come and passed through the area, and so currently we have the track dryers on the track. It's about 72 degrees, a light breeze, which means that it's drying the track a little bit quicker, but we will not be able to start the race as scheduled. But they don't think it's going to be too long until we do get underway with racing in Kentucky. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Johnny Benson. Now, yesterday we had rain. The qualifying and practice was wiped out, and so this morning we were able to get onto the track for about 2 hours, but then another rain shower came through about 2 hours ago, and so they've still been trying to work on getting this race started as quickly as possible. Now, what does that do to a driver's mentality when they think they're going to run at the scheduled time and then it gets pushed back just a couple minutes?
Well, that's right, Rick. You know, the drivers want to be in these trucks. They want to be racing. They did get their 2 hours practice. It rained. It washed all the rubber off from the race earlier today, all the Hoosier rubber. It's gone. They're thinking the track's going to be just like it was at the start of practice.
John, you're exactly right. There was an ARCA racer earlier today. They run on different tires in the Craftsman Truck Series. They run on the Hoosier tires. The trucks run on Goodyear tires. A lot of the crew chiefs and drivers think that their trucks react differently on that Hoosier rubber. Rain has washed all that rubber off. Most of the crew chiefs and the drivers think that the racetrack's going to be back just like it was this morning, Johnny, which was their first race practice on a clean racetrack. A clean racetrack because rain yesterday washed all the rubber off. But the talk in the garage area is nobody's going to catch the Ford truck of Bobby Hamilton. He was at least 2/10 quicker in the last practice session than all the other trucks. Everyone says if nothing happens to Bobby Hamilton, it's going to be arrivederci.
And speaking of Bobby Hamilton, he's standing by with our own Ray Dunlap. Ray?
Well, thank you, Rick. These guys just hanging out down here. Chase Montgomery getting some words from Bobby Hamilton. And Bobby, Phil said you're the man to beat tonight, and no pressure here, but after we watched you in practice, your truck looked awfully good.
After the way TV's been going the last 3 or 4 weeks about leaders and fast trucks, don't even talk about me, Phil. Talk about Carl for a while. So, it's good. But like I told Carl a minute ago, you know, we're going into nighttime. We was really fast at Kansas last week. Pit strategy or whatever bit us a little bit. I mean, we done exactly what we wanted to do. And then Carl ended up winning the race. We still didn't finish the second. But it's just about, these things are so aero sensitive. If you don't have clean air, if a guy gets out in front of you or whatever, you're pretty much done until you can get back around him.
What about the rain and a brand new clean racetrack? Are you worried about that at all?
No, I mean, they've done an excellent job grinding this thing. It's got a lot of grip. It's a momentum type racetrack. So, you know, Carl and I was talking about people scuffing tires and stickers. We didn't see any difference, so we only scuffed one set. So I think everybody's going to be good to go on it.
Okay, well, this is Bobby Hamilton, and that's Carl Edwards, and Wendy's standing right there. So take it away, Wendy.
Oh, thanks, Ray. Carl Edwards starts on the outside front pole. Let's talk about last week first. What a championship caliber performance coming from the back and getting the win in Kansas.
Yeah, that was Cowboy and the whole Super Chips team. I mean, that win was, it definitely showed how strong they are as a team, and I'm just glad to be part of it. I mean, to win at my hometown like that, especially after a beginning, you know, a first lap like that, I never would have thought it would have ended up that well.
Now, how is your truck for today? You had 2 hours of practice. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, we're really happy with it. If I don't look at how fast Bobby is, we're ecstatic. It feels really racy. It feels really good. It's just we're just going to have to see how everybody kind of pans out after 10 or so laps. Got to say hi and good luck to my dad. He's racing Ron Dye's dirt car up in Moberly, Missouri tonight. So good luck, Dad. They got him out of retirement. We're going to give it our best tonight.
Now, you really took a turn in the points after last week. You gained, I think, 97 points on Dennis Setzer. Are you excited about the points race now?
Well, no, I'm not points racing. It's not very often that you have a day like that and gain that many points on a guy like Dennis Setzer. He's such a great racer. So we'll just take that one and, you know, put it in our pocket and go on, hope that we get some more like that. But we're just focusing on running really well and finishing up front.
Okay, let's see what Dennis Setzer has to say about it, Ray.
Well, thanks, Wendy. You know, it's kind of a miracle. These guys tore this truck up last week, but they took it back to the shop, got the same truck fixed and back. But, Dennis, this is almost deja vu. I mean, here we are on a mile and a half. It rained, not much practice, and you and Carl start on the front row. Now, I hope it's not going to be like last week, right?
We hope so also. You know, these guys did a great job on the Silverado. Took it back, completely put a new body on it. Dick Schultz, Danny Gill, Randy Goss, all these guys back at the shop done a great job on this thing this week.
Now, we had a lot less spoiler last week. They took 40 square inches away. Do you think that was anything to do with why we had so many trucks crashing?
I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. We thought these things were pretty comfortable. You get up beside somebody, these things take a lot of air back off these big cabs, off that spoiler back behind there. So maybe we need to look about getting these bigger spoilers back on these things, these mile-and-a-half tracks.
Okay, this guy will start at the very top of the list here. He is on the pole tonight. for our 225-mile race. Guys?
The Built Ford Tough 225. Just going to start a little bit later than had scheduled. The track is drying very well, so we hope to be running soon. From its majestic pastures to its gorgeous sunsets, Kentucky is a place of refined living. The home of the Derby plays host to a different kind of horsepower tonight as the Truck Series rolls into town for race number 11. The odds are a good handling truck will take the checkered flag. Carl Edwards already knows Victory Lane here well. Can he repeat last year's sweet success? It's post time at Kentucky Speedway. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. Weather has slowed us down a little bit, but it hasn't stopped us. The track is drying very well. We're still planning on getting underway just a few minutes after when we were scheduled to start, but everything is going according to plan, and so the track is drying well, and we'll be getting underway shortly. One driver who stepped into a very difficult situation this year was Steve Park in that New Orleans Casino 62 Dodge. We look at Steve Park.
Steve Park had big shoes to fill coming over to the 62 Orleans truck. Following Brendan Gaughan's 6 wins in 2003, many looked for the 62 team to display their dominance again in 2004. Luck is a big factor in racing, and Steve Park started off the year with all bad. Park has been under the microscope this season, and his luck has started to take a turn. Since his first top 10 finish at Texas, Park has quieted the critics with 4th place finishes in the last 2 races. Overcoming misfortune and a little luck on their side, the Orleans Dodge may soon find victory lane for the first time in 2004. 2 top 5 finishes for Steve Park in the last 2 races. Steve, is this the turnaround point that we've been waiting for?
I sure hope so. I mean, the Orleans Dodge is running good, and we're just finally getting the people in place that we need to get in place. And we're still short a couple people, but the team's really looking up. And just again, want to wish Brendan good luck on Sunday. It's his birthday today, and so good luck tomorrow, buddy. And just want to say hello to the Waller.com family that's supporting us here in Kentucky, and hopefully we can put that Orleans Dodge up in the front where it needs to be.
Now, this is the same truck you raced with at Kansas last week, finished 4th. Is it as good? You only got 2 hours of practice this morning.
It's pretty good, you know. I mean, my hat's off to the Orleans Dodge guys. I mean, they turned this truck around from Vegas to get it back here again, and there's a lot of guys watching on TV back at the shop that are making this possible for us to race the same truck that we finished fourth with last week. So we're happy about it, and we're just going to take the Orleans Dodge as fast as we can to the front before the skies open up.
All right, that's Steve Park. He moved up 2 points in the points positions this week to 12. Let's go to Rick Allen.
Thank you, Wendy. We hope the skies don't open up as we take a look at the Ford top 10 point standings. Dennis Setzer will start on the pole. Carl Edwards will be on his outside. Again, the rain has wiped out practice and qualifying from yesterday, and so we will line up based upon points. And the points gap really closed up last week.
The point lead was over 130 points Dennis Setzer had over Carl Edwards. Carl looked like he was in for a horrible day. He got into the fence on the very first lap, but Cowboy and all the guys did such a great job getting his truck put back together. He ended up winning the race and gains almost 100 points on Dennis Setzer.
So it was a big week for Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards wasn't involved in last Thursday's little softball, I guess you could say, battle that we put on. Speed Channel took on the drivers of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Thursday. Rick Crawford was their coach, and let's take a look at some of the highlights that took place on Thursday. And this was a fun event. Craftsman put it on. This was the 4th annual event. Last year it actually got rained out. There was a very solid performance. Well, actually, that was me. I apologize. I can't talk about myself on air. Ted Musgrave, one of the drivers. Rick Crawford, I mentioned, was the coach. Ray Dunlap, our own pit reporter.
A shot to the pitcher.
Controversy involved in all sorts of different events.
And there's our man, Rick Allen, with a shot to left center field. Look how he gets around the bases. And a home run inside the park.
I really wish they had that technology back when I was in college. But a lot of fun. Again, Craftsman does a lot of things for the drivers as well as the communities that we visit. It ended in a tie. And so the trophy that normally would go to either Speed Channel or the drivers will go back to Craftsman, and they'll hold on to it for one more year. One guy that was really spectacular was Randy Bullen. He's a cameraman for Speed, and not only was he filming the game, but he was also playing in the game. So he would turn the camera on, run out there, hit, and it would follow him around, and he'd do pretty well as far as doing double duty.
He was 2 for 3 with a double in an RBI or two.
I'd say that he was our MVP.
Absolutely.
The Speed team. Well, the coach for the drivers team was Rick Crawford, and I believe that he wasn't able to get out and enjoy any of the actual softball action, but he did throw out the first pitch for the Freedom game that took place right after us. And so that was pretty cool that he was able to be a part of that. We take a look at that fastball that he threw to me.
Really? That's awesome.
That was the first pitch. I had a little problem holding on to it. It came at me so quick.
Hurt your hand a little bit there,
It did. It was sore. Ray has caught up finally with Rick Crawford. Ray?
I have, and we're not talking about baseball now. We're talking about racing, but that was a pretty cool time over there, right?
That was a great time. You know, the coach of that team was Pete Rose Jr., and it's always a pleasure to meet someone like that, you know, that had a legendary father, and he's making his own mark in his sport. But you know that pitch that I pitched that night?
Yeah.
92 miles. Well, that guy said it was almost 92 miles.
Well, 40's almost 92 miles an hour.
Almost near it. But you know what?
It was kind of like me almost getting into second base.
But they had a scout up in the stands that had the gun and the stopwatch and all that. And you know what he was talking about? He said, you know, I could read that pitch when it was coming into home. And I said, tell me what it was. He said, well, it started out as a fastball.
Yeah.
Then it was a change-up because it changed real slow, but it was a strike. That's all I got to say was a strike. So anyway, I hope we put on a great show tonight for the fans, and they turned out. They know we had a little weather here this afternoon, and hopefully the Circle Bar Motel and RV Park Ford will stay up front.
Well, it's important tonight. This is a Ford-sponsored race, so we'll see if Rick Crawford's able to capitalize on that.
Ford won the race a year ago with Carl Edwards. We'll see if they can do it again. They've done it twice at Kentucky Speedway. The Built Ford Tough 225 coming up on Speed Channel.
Move up, out of the way. Carlton goes up high. Man, that saved him. Almost got hit right there.
The Built Ford Tough 225 has been claimed by Carl Edwards.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
One big backflip. He gets to celebrate in victory lane for the first time in his career in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
That night kicked off an incredible year for Carl Edwards. He's won the most races in 1 year span in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, but probably none more amazing than last week at Kansas.
I could not be more determined right now to put this Super Chips Ford in victory lane.
Edwards into the wall. There's going to be damage to the 99 Super Chips Ford.
What a horrible break for Carl Edwards. All these caution laps are allowing Carl Edwards to make more pit stops. For Carl Edwards to be still running in the top 10 or close to the top 10 with as hard as he hit the wall is pretty amazing.
Woo, man, this is a wild event.
Carl Edwards also on the move. He's in fourth.
Restarted this race back in about 10th position on this last restart. Driven all the way up, fighting for the lead.
Carl Edwards makes the pass as they go down the backstretch. It's Carl Edwards out in front now. The white flag came out. This is the last lap for Carl Edwards. The crowd is on their feet, and Carl Edwards wins the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250.
Bump on Carl Edwards.
And there's Carl Edwards signing a few autographs for fans before he has to get into the truck. And an amazing turnaround after 10 races a year ago. No wins, no poles, only 4 top 10 finishes. And through 10 races this season, already 2 wins, that very dramatic win in Kansas, but he claimed the first win of the season at Daytona.
We saw what a talent Carl Edwards was a couple years ago. He went to Kansas 2 years ago, finished in the top 10 in the truck, really not used to running up front. And then this race last year really started him on a roll. He won this race, ended up winning 2 more races the rest of the year. Top 5, a lot of top 5s, always running up front, leading a lot of laps. And as we saw this year, a terrific start to this season.
And Carl doing an excellent job last week. You know, he probably on that first lap incident goes up and hits the wall. He knows the crew's going to have to work on the truck, and he's thinking, man, how am I going to get back to the front, you know? And he just kept telling him everything that the crew needed to do to get that truck as fast as he did. He's able to get it up front. Great job on everybody.
Fans love Carl Edwards as he goes back to sign more autographs. The drivers are still not into their trucks. They're being told that it's going to be a few more minutes before they'll be moved to their trucks. The introductions will be taking place, and we will be getting underway with the Built Ford Tough 225 momentarily. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, event number 11, Built Ford Tough 225 on speed. This one backed up just a little bit because of the inclement weather that passed through the area just over 2.5 hours ago. Dropped probably about a 1/4 inch of rain very hard in about 15 minutes time, and so the track was soaked. They got the dryers out right away. The vehicles are on the track drying it. The drivers have been told, hang out by your trucks because we'll be getting ready to get you out onto the track so that we can get this event underway. Standing by right now with one of the Roush teams is John Wood and Ray Dunlap. Ray?
Well, thank you, Rick. You see on the hood there of the number 50, the You Pick 'em Challenge. That starts next week for all you fans who want to pick the Roush Racing drivers that might win in the Nextel Cup Series. John, they don't get to play for trucks, so I don't like that at all.
We don't get included in anything. It's kind of frustrating, but you know, all in all, it's still good to drive for Jack Roush and Roush Racing. I'm really proud of the way that those guys have really turned our program around. We've kind of struggled for the past couple of months, but the past 2 weeks have been good. And starting up front again tonight, it's a shame that we didn't get to, you know, earn it, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting race, I think.
Now, if they could log on there and pick truck drivers, would they pick you tonight at Kentucky? Are you good enough to win this race?
The way we've been lately, I don't know if anybody would pick me, but yeah, I mean, Carl won last year, and we have some stuff to go off from that, and both of us have been running really well at these 1.5 mile tracks, and we have a lot of good notes to go off of. Ford has been very supportive, and it is Ford night. You know, it's a Ford-sponsored race, and hopefully we can win it. Now, somebody got to pick you on who wants to date a race car driver that first show. That was pretty cool, huh? Yeah. You haven't taken any razzing about that at all, have you? You're the first one that's asked me about that show, let me tell you. But no, it was a lot of fun, and that's about all I can say about it. That's good enough. Yeah, it was fun. Okay, that's it for John Wood. Now let's check back in with Wendy.
Thanks, Ray. We're talking about Roush drivers on a roll. Let's talk about another driver on a roll, Matt Crafton, in a truck owned by Kevin Harvick. You actually lead the series right now with the most top 10s, 8. When is your win going to come for you? Is it tonight?
Pretty good question. I hope it's tonight. We've just been being consistent week in and week out. We just take this GM Goodwrench truck and just put it in position to win every week. Top 5s, top 10s are real good. Top 5s are great, and that win will be coming for too long.
Now, with that 2 hours of practice, did your crew chief Wally Rogers get the truck dialed in?
Yeah, Wally did a good job. And we weren't real good when we first went out, and we dialed it in pretty good. Last week we were real bad before the race, and we finished 5th. So hopefully this thing march to the front and keep it up front all day.
Now, what does this rain do to you with the driver's mentality?
I just went and slept in the lounge for a little while and watched the Busch race, and hey, no problem. Get ready to come out here and do our job now.
All right, Matt Crafton's ready to go green, guys.
Well, let's check in with Travis Quapple. You see on his hood, nuts.com, and this is a different paint scheme than we normally see. Normally we have the Line-X Toyota, but tonight it's a little different paint scheme. Does that mean it's going to run fast?
Well, I hope so. It's black, it's nice, everything's cool, you know, it looks good. But, you know, my guys did a great job this last week with the same truck we raced at Kansas. We had a really good run going, and driver screwed it up and wrecked it a little bit. But they did a great job fixing it back up, putting some new paint on it, and it looks good. And practice went okay. Now, I don't think we're one of the fastest trucks, but I think we're definitely good in the long run. That's why I think we're going to be strong.
Could you really learn anything in that practice today with as hot as it is and how different this track will be tonight?
Well, I think we just tried to get a good balance for the truck, get it neutral. We don't feel like the track's really going to loosen up or tighten up. We feel like it's just going to gain grip. So we were just looking for a good balance in the afternoon, and I think we got pretty darn close. So I think we can go to the front.
Okay, that is Travis Quapo in the Nuts.com Toyota, number 24.
Drivers standing by their trucks. The teams are ready. The track is about ready. The dryers are on there. It is drying out again. A lot of rain happened in a very short amount of time, and so it soaked the track, and the dryers immediately got out there, and so they've been on the track for almost 2 hours now. It's about dry. They'll be sending the trucks out shortly, but until then, we're going to take a short break and come back to Sparta, Kentucky with more on Speed. Come down to the start-finish line. The green flag flies, and we're underway with the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250. Green flag. Gather up now. We didn't hit anything. Dennis Setzer, our points leader, also with problems. So 1 and 2 in the points, struggling after 1 lap at Kansas. Behind the wall here. How much stay here? Come straight back through the gate. Right back through the gate.
The crew goes to work here on Dennis Setzer's Silverado. They know they're going to have to pull the radiator out. They do have a new nose they're going to try to get on this thing, but on the front end, a good bit of work to be done.
Dennis Setzer is being shown in 35th position.
Good job, guys.
Championship performance by the 46 team a week ago just to get that truck back out onto the track.
Ricky has a 34-point lead right now. Had they not worked on that truck and got it back on the racetrack, he would have barely had any lead. So what a terrific job by Danny Gill and his entire team.
I think that's why you see both Dennis and Kyle Edwards up there near the top of the list, just because of what happened last week, being able to get back on the racetrack.
Dennis Setzer came in your points leader, but because of rain, he was able to start on the pole, which was great. But the problem was that early on at that racetrack, they hadn't had a lot of practice. And so problems took place early, but they overcame and had a great performance. Let's get things underway. Let's go down trackside for our invocation.
And now, please welcome Pastor Marshall North of the Drury Chapel United Methodist Church and recording artist Rodney Atkins to present the invocation and the national anthem.
Let us bow our heads. Almighty God, we humbly come before you, praising your holy name, and ask your blessing on this event. We pray, Father, for the safety of all those who meet in contest here today, for the fire and safety crews and all the fans. We pray for our nation and its leaders in these perilous times. We pray for the safety of our loved ones at home and abroad and in the military and in the mission fields. We pray your blessing on those that are infirm and those less fortunate than ourselves. All honor and glory being yours, Father. We pray this in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and amen and amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of
Pre-race activities continue. The teams getting ready for the start of the Built Ford Tough 225 on speed. We'll be back to Kentucky in just a minute. Tough 225 presented by the Greater Cincinnati Ford dealers on Speed Channel. The sky begins to clear behind the grandstands at Kentucky Speedway. The track continues to dry as the jet dryers are on the track, and hopefully we're minutes away from the trucks going to be started as well as getting out onto the track. One of those truck drivers that are not in their truck as of yet is three-time series champion Jack Sprague, standing by with Wendy. Wendy?
Well, Jack Sprague is climbing in and getting his helmet on. Jack, you were just telling me you were not that happy with your truck in practice. What is it going to take to get up front and stay there?
I'm not really sure. The Chevy truck Chevrolet's driving pretty decent. We've just, we don't have any speed. We've thrown every spring we own in this truck, every sway bar. It doesn't drive bad. We're missing something here, and a little disappointing because we've been so fast the last 5 or 6 races, but we'll just do the best we can. The guys have done a great job working hard. I'm sure they'll continue to work hard. We'll make the necessary adjustments and see if we can get closer to the front, but a little frustrated right now.
You have 24 wins in the Craftsman Truck Series. 3 of them, only 3 have come on in these 1.5 mile tracks. Are these not your favorite type of tracks?
No, I actually like these kind of tracks. I've had a lot of races won on these kind of tracks. I had this one won in 01 and blew up with like 5 laps to go, so finished 3rd. Just, you know, it's the way it goes. I mean, we had a shot last week and got wrecked on the straightaway, and just like to thank Chevrolet and Silverado and everybody that's sticking with us. We'll get it sorted out sooner or later, and maybe all the goofy stuff will quit happening to us.
All right. Jack Sprague trying to overcome a lot of bad luck this year. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Wendy, last week at the race, I told you that Ted Musgrave and his Mopar team had come from 15th in the points all the way up to 5th, but a little bad luck last week took you back to 9th, Ted. I know you want to put that behind you, but what did you learn last week about how these trucks drive to make them better this week?
Well, as you see last week, Ray, that was my favorite truck, too, and it got away from me. I haven't done that in years. You know, I had the air taken off the spoiler, and we learned a little bit about a setup that maybe stay underneath me a little bit better, and old CT will come back next week. You know, like I say here at Kentucky, Mopar truck's pretty good, but Bobby Hamilton's a little quicker, and gonna have to hunt him down, and I like a challenge.
Okay, tell me about this racetrack. What's it going to be like now that we've had rain? Pretty much a green track. How cautious do you be at the beginning?
Well, everybody could be a little cautious, especially after last week's start of the race. But the track, these guys did a phenomenal job at smoothing this place out. There's a high groove, there's a middle groove, there's a low groove. I think you're going to see 2-3 wide racing. You know, if not, I'm going to make it 2-3 wide, make it an interesting, but this truck will do it. I ran the outside quite a bit. I'm kind of liking it. I want to get going.
Okay, good luck. The Mopar Dodge will roll off 9th. Wendy?
Some drivers are in their truck. Others decide to wait until NASCAR gives the go-ahead. Terry Cook stands outside. You have 2 top 10s in a row. Have you and crew chief Jamie Jones, your new crew chief, finally starting to gel?
I think we are. You know, PPC, I think, has turned a corner. We're building some great race trucks in-house now, and Jamie and me, the chemistry's getting better every week, you know, and we had a great run last week at Kansas. The driver actually let the team down last week. We should have run 3rd or 4th easily, and spun there late in the race and ultimately finished 10th. But yeah, we need something to build on right now, and you know, we're getting to that point where we're getting all of our equipment where it needs to be, and we're getting our personnel where it needs to be, and I think we're going to become contenders here real quick.
What did you learn about your truck in this morning's practice?
I learned what I didn't like. We really weren't that good in this morning in practice. The truck drove good, but we didn't have the speed. It was kind of threw us for a curveball there, and we just went with the fact that it's driving good. You know, it was hot. It was really slick. It was the hottest part of the day. So I feel like tonight when it's cooled down, we got a very similar setup we were at Kansas, and we were pretty fast there. So we're looking forward to tonight's race.
All right, Terry Cook on a roll. Let's see who Ray Dunlap has on pit grid.
Well, Wendy, I've found Chad Chaffin. He's right here. He's easy to see, but man, when I look around, I can't even see your truck. It's invisible. It's camouflage. How in the world is anybody going to know you're even on the racetrack?
Well, that's why we painted that valence orange, but I'm just afraid if I get off in the grass tonight, they won't even know to throw the caution, you know, because I'll just be blended in.
All right, now, in all honesty, you were very fast in practice. You and Bobby appear to be the class of the field, so what's the strategy for tonight?
Well, we don't really have one yet, but, I mean, I know Bobby's starting ahead of me, and he's super fast, so I assume, you know, if all things work out, who knows, but I assume he goes to the front. We should have a good enough truck to get up there, and then we'll just see what happens.
All right, this race is a little bit shorter than last week, just 150 laps. Does that change the pit strategy?
A little bit. This will be a 2-stop race if the cautions fall right. So if we have an early caution, we'll stop just in case, and then we still have to stop twice. So we figure we can go in the mid-50s on fuel, so we got to stop at least twice.
Okay, that is Chad Chaffin. He's got his camouflage Dickie Dodge
number 18.
A lot of times in the military, you see vehicles that are camouflage. And our flyover with the Black Hawk helicopters took place just after the anthem. That was very impressive as their formation went by. We should ask them to stick around to dry the track. We'll be back with more on Speed. Runeman is our own Wendy Norris.
Our top rookie contender, David Runeman, in a truck owned by Darrell Waltrip. Now, David, you had a bad weekend last week. You ruined your favorite truck. How important is it to turn things around this week?
Oh, it's real important. I mean, we started out the year good, and man, we've just been just having bad luck, bad things. Driver messed us up last week, so try to turn things around for Toyota and NTN, and then for Darrell Waltrip Motorsports, and hopefully get the boss, get DW to come a couple more of these races. We seem to run better when he's around. So DW, if you're out there listening, we sure would like to have you around more often.
What's the pressure like being in his home state this weekend?
Well, I don't know. They got a big statue of him out front out there, so it's pretty big. It's pretty big. This is a beautiful facility, and I tell you, we need to get our season turned around right here for NTN and Toyota, and it'd be a good time as any.
Now, you probably would have brought the truck from last week had it not been wrecked. How's this truck for you in practice this morning?
It's been good. It's been good off the trailer. I managed to kill our truck last week pretty well, and it was my favorite truck. But this is a good truck too. It's the same truck we had at Charlotte, and it was good until we had some mechanical problems. But maybe we can get its first win tonight.
All right, tell us what you did today in the rain delay. Did you watch the Busch race?
Well, you got some time to kill today, or what?
We might.
I don't know. We hung out. I actually, watched the ARCA race, and I couldn't really get the Busch race in very well on my TV there in the motorhome. So. But I mean, I did hear that Justin Labonte won, and congratulations to him. That's awesome, and I'd like to be another first-time winner tonight.
All right, we'll see if we can get your satellite dish in check. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Wendy, Mike Skinner's got a ways to go in his Toyota number 42, but I'll tell you what, he's one of the guys I'm going to keep my eye on tonight. I think he can do it. Mike, you guys have gone 4 races without a top 10, but I remember back to Atlanta, and what a great race that was, you and Bobby Hamilton. Is your truck that good tonight?
This little Tundra is pretty good hot rod tonight, I'll tell you. Ray, we've had some pretty bad luck here in the last 3 or 4 races, but I feel like this team's back tonight. This thing rolled off the truck. It was really good in practice. I hate we didn't get to qualify because I think we could have started a little closer to the front, but that's okay. I got a good hot rod. We just look for a good night. Anxious to get this thing going.
Well, we got an announcement this week that Larry McReynolds would not be part of this team anymore. Things just changing around a little bit. Does that affect anything as far as the way you guys go about racing?
Well, obviously it's a distraction, and we're really going to miss Larry. Larry's one of my best friends, and I think he was an asset to the team. But you lose people as you go, and you just have to keep on going. Alex has got to focus on the 24 and the 42, and moving Bang Racing on up the road, and trying to win races for Toyota and Linux.
Okay, I think this is one of the guys that could do it. If Toyota gets their first victory, I think it very well might be Mike Skinner doing just that. Wendy?
Thanks, Ray. I've caught up with David Starr, who is standing outside his truck. David, what do you do during these rain delays?
Just talk to my guys, joke around with them. We're just we're ready to go, and racetrack's still wet, so all ready to go race, and got to wait on a wet racetrack. So hopefully it'll get it dried up, and so this rain will stay away from here.
Now, you had a little bit of mechanical problems last week in Kansas. Do you have your truck turned around for this week?
I'll tell you what, our Chevy Silverado was pretty awesome last week. Just about 40 laps to go, we had no fuel pressure and didn't want to run on no fuel pressure. So just got that bad luck, got that monkey on our back, and we're trying to get him off. But hopefully this week, had a good truck in practice, and looking forward to the race. The only problem is we got to start back 15th in points, but I think we got a pretty good truck, and let it get strung out a little bit, and we'll try to make our way up to the front.
Now, with what you felt your truck did in practice this morning, what did your crew chief, Dave McCarty, do to it?
Well, we figured the racetrack was going to tighten up, and it's changed. A lot's changed. I mean, it's going to be nighttime. Track temperature's a lot cooler. It's been raining, so you never know. But we thought it would get a little tighter as the race went on, and we adjusted it for that. But hopefully, McCarty usually makes the right adjustment, so hopefully he did again, and hopefully we can get this Spears Chevrolet up to the front.
Now, we saw a video of the softball game at the top of the show. We had fun out there. Actually, David and I were switching gloves on opposite teams.
I'll tell you what, that was a lot of fun. Only problem is the drivers, we didn't win. We tied, but we had a good time, and I think the most funnest part of the whole deal was watching you bat.
Oh, come on. Are you making fun of me?
No, not at all, Wendy. You did a good job. You just couldn't hit the ball past the pitcher.
That's not fair. We're on national TV. You can't do that to me on TV. Well, David, he did You did bat a good game, though. I'm not going to dog you on TV.
Oh, it's okay. You did a really good job. You didn't. I don't know if they showed it, but you did catch the ball, throw somebody out. If I remember right, didn't you?
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Whatever David Starr says, I'll go with, but I don't think so. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
I'll tell you, Wendy, these guys gave me a bunch of crap about sliding into second and getting thrown out, but David Starr stole my base, so I want to find out about that from him later. But Shane Meal, you guys have had a great truck the last couple of weeks, and tell me what you expect for tonight.
I think the Spondivit Chevrolet is going to be really good. Billy Blue and Richie Waters and the whole guys are giving me really good trucks, and I'm just happy. I messed up myself last week, had a shot to win, and I'm going to do my best to not let the driver screw it up. I just want to congratulate Justin Labonte on his win today, and I know it was real special for him to win on Adam Petty's 24th birthday today, and I sure would like to win for him too.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Now, what do you do as a driver to get your mind straight and think about that last week? I mean, I guess you just say, I'm going to forget about it and never do that again, right?
Well, I can't say I'll never do it again. I've done it 1,000 times, but I mean, Ted Musgrave did the same thing earlier in the race. Dennis Setzer, but at the end of that day, I was over. I drove all the way home from Kansas City, beating myself up for it, and I'm over it. And we're going to go and try to win this race for Spondivits, and especially Billy Blue and Adam Petty.
All right, that'd be great redemption. That is Shane Meal. He's got a ways to go to get to the front, but he's one of those trucks that I'm sure can do it. Guys?
Well, a lot of people have talked about that infamous battle, I guess you would call it, softball battle between the Speed Channel and the Truck Series drivers. You can see a few of the pictures from that event that took place on Thursday. Go to truckseries.com. A lot of the stories and pictures available there. The sun is setting on the green grass, the blue grass of Kentucky, and it looks as though the moisture is going to stay away. The track is about dry, so we hope that the drivers will be getting in their trucks shortly, and we can get underway with the built Ford Tough 225.
You're going to go to the front right away.
Well, no, I mean, you're going to have to use a little bit of patience. I think it kind of got us in trouble there last week, me along with a couple other guys. So, you know, I'm going to just try to take it easy here on the start. There's no rubber on the racetrack. It's, you know, it's going to take a little bit to get everything kind of sorted out. And like I said, I feel like we're really good. And I think before the night's over, they'll have to deal with the Team ASE Carquest Dodge.
All right, Andy Houston wants to turn his season around. Hey, I think Ray Dunlap's caught up with the 19th starting spot.
I have, Wendy, and that'd be Hank Parker Jr. You know, a year ago when David Starr got hurt at his practice crash at Milwaukee, that's easy for me to say anyway. When he got hurt, you filled in for him, and you had a great run at this track. I think you finished 10th that night.
Well, I did. I was running a lot better and got spun out there at the end of the race. Had to put on old tires. And, you know, I've got a lot of laps at this racetrack. I've done a lot of testing for Evernham Motorsports in the years past. And, you know, it's hopefully going to pay off tonight. This track's really smooth. They've changed it a little bit since the last time I've been here from last year, and look forward to tonight.
All right, give us a kind of an overview of the big picture so far this season and how things have been for the 21 team.
I'm just sitting here wondering if the sky was going to fall on me. So, you know, we've really had a lot of bad luck, and you know, just like Milwaukee when the rubber caught on fire and burned all the crush panels out of the truck. So, you know, we just had a lot of crazy things happen, but I've got a great team. Wesley Sherrill, my crew chief's doing a good job, George Debidar, and, you know, I'm just really happy to be on this Toyota team. Toyota's put a lot into this. I've got fast trucks. I've had some bad luck. I'm still learning these trucks. They're a lot different. My team's new to it. They take a whole different setup, the way you have to drive them, but it's been a lot of fun, and, you know, we're trying to pick up sponsorship as we go. We've got Kerry Toyota here on our truck this weekend, and just hopefully get a good run for those guys.
All right, third at Dover. What's a good run for you tonight here at Kentucky?
Well, you know, we've kind of been sporadic. You know, we've had some good runs that just didn't pay off, you know, like Milwaukee that I mentioned earlier. But anything in the top 5 I would consider a success. And, you know, obviously you want to go for a win, but we're still learning. You know, if we can consistently get competitive in that top 5, we can go from there.
Okay, good luck. That is Hank Parker Jr. Now let's check back in with Wendy.
For you folks at home keeping track of the first 19 trucks we went through the field, starting 17th is Shane Sieg. Shane, what do you think about your season so far in the Truck Series?
It's been real impressive. I mean, I'm impressed myself. I've been done so good. I mean, the crew's just done an excellent job on getting it prepared and getting to the racetrack fast and unloading quick. And I think tonight we're gonna have a good truck. I think we can come up to the front. Hopefully race Ruderman for that rookie chase because we're second and gaining on him, but hopefully have a good run tonight.
With that 2 hours of practice, did you learn enough for tonight's race?
Definitely. 2 hours of practice was definitely good enough for us because we unloaded quick and we just improved on from there and found a few problems with the truck, and I think we'll have a good truck for tonight.
Now, being a rookie in the truck series, have you taken advice from any certain drivers on the track or followed them around?
Oh yeah, I followed about everybody around, just see how my truck would go with theirs, and I mean it stayed with them consistently, and I was happy with it. But I think we'll have a pretty decent run if we can stay out of trouble and get to the front.
All right, Shane Sieg, he already has one top 10 finish this season. It was 8th at Milwaukee. Let's go to Rick Allen.
Well, thank you, Wendy. The reason that the drivers are not in their trucks right now is because about 3 hours ago, rain showers hit the Kentucky Speedway and drenched the area. And we've even grabbed a few kids from in the stands to help dry up the track. And so they're working as diligently as they can to get the track dried. Another great crowd at Kentucky Speedway. Year in and year out, the Kentucky Speedway has excellent crowds for both the bush races and the truck races that are held here at this facility. The track continues to be dried. The drivers are anxious to get into their trucks and get underway with the Built Ford Tough 225. Tracy Hines is ready as well. Back to Kentucky Speedway. The crowd continues to wait for the drying of the track, as the drivers also waiting. We just heard from Shane Sieg, who is currently tied in the Rebestos Rookie of the Year run with another driver, Tracy Hines, and he's standing by with Ray Dunlop, right?
Well, Rick, the last 3 races, Tracy Hines has finished 14th, and I know that's pretty good, but not really to your expectations, because this team has really been pretty impressive since you got behind the wheel.
Well, we had a good top 5 finish at Mansfield, which was their first top 5 since 2000. You know, we're growing as a team. We went to a 2-truck team this year. You know, we have Menards as our primary. We have Staymax, a new sponsor that came on, Men's Health stuff on the 13. So things are looking up for both teams. It's just splitting the teams up this year. We had kind of a learning curve, and we're still trying to get through it.
Now, I got to find out. I got to get to the bottom of this deal. When I slid into second the other night in the game, you were at shortstop. I'm wondering, was it you that stole the base away from me, or was it David Starr?
I don't know if it was your inability to slide is what you're calling stealing the base from you, but we were kind of kicking it around, both of us back and forth, because it was, you know, little plates they had us on. But that was a good game, you know, good for the fans to come out and see. And, you know, Kentucky here is a great speedway. I mean, I'm proud of all the fans that have came here and stayed through this rain delay so far, and hopefully we'll give them a good race.
All right, they're about to put some video on the screen here of us having our little skirmish out there. It really was a pretty good time, and I was surprised at how many really good athletes there were out there on at least on our team on the field.
Oh, yeah, you guys had some really good guys. I tell you what, Kelly Sutton can play some ball now. I was kidding her. I said, you got a better arm than I do. And she said, you ought to see my 14-year-old daughter. So, you know, I was very surprised at the athletic ability of a lot of these truck guys. You know, I thought I'd played some sports when I was in high school, wrestled all the way until I broke my neck, you know, and had been quite athletical. And these guys, I mean, race car drivers are definitely athletes. And if anybody doesn't believe so, just come do anything with these guys. I mean, as young as I am, I still need to catch up quite a bit to these NASCAR guys.
Well, the really good news was Rick Crawford was just a coach and not out on the field playing.
Yeah, well, he was injured to reserve, you know. He had an excuse, so he did a good job coaching us. I think we were getting ready to rally, and the speed guys are saying something that we had
whatever,
because it was tied or
whatever.
something. You know, I know
whatever. All right, that's enough from Tracy Hines. Let's check back in with Wendy.
All right, Ray, we are always talking about what these drivers do off the track. We talked to John Wood earlier about his show that he was involved with, I Want to Date a Race Car Driver. Brandon, you just were involved in the same show on Speed. How did that go for you, your date?
No, the show was fun. I had a blast doing it, and, you know, like you said, John did it too, and it was one of those things, you know, you get once in a lifetime, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat if I could.
So how was the date? John Wood didn't want to give us any secrets.
No, the date went good. We had a good time. You know, we met back up with all the girls, and it was neat to hang out as one big group, but we had fun as just a couple too.
All right, let's talk racing. How's this truck for tonight? You got 2 hours of practice. What did you think of it?
Well, the Cure Autism Now Warner Ladder Ford, we're a little bit off in practice, but we made some big changes. We set the truck up real adjustable for the race, so if we need to, we can make big changes during the race, and we'll see what happens.
Now, this is the truck that you ran in Daytona. Why did you bring your Daytona truck?
Well, unfortunately, last week in Kansas, we wrecked the truck we've been running at all the 1.5 miles, so we brought this truck out, and it's actually running better than we thought it would.
All right, Brandon Witt excited about tonight's race and looking forward to the rest of the season. Let's go to Ray.
Well, thanks, Wendy. Bill Lester's hanging out back here. What are you guys doing? Just, I know, not much, right?
You know, basically it's a beautiful sunset, so we're just enjoying that.
What are we doing? Why are we waiting? Why shouldn't we be out there racing?
I guess we need to ask Carl Edwards. I think he ran around there with Mike Dolan to see whether or not this place is going to dry out, so I'm hoping to think we're going to get this underway soon.
All right, let's take a look at the season so far. Give me an assessment of how the 22 truck's been.
You know, we haven't basically performed like we expected. We're all very optimistic and excited about what lies ahead, but so far we haven't quite hit what we're really trying to accomplish, but you know, every new race is a new opportunity.
Well, mile and a half's been awfully good to Bill Lester, so are you excited about tonight's race?
Very much so. I mean, we got a little wrench thrown in there because we had to change engines, and so we're going to start at the very back, but
that means you get to pass more people.
You know what? I've seen a whole lot of guys coming from the back right to the front, so I think we'll be one of those.
All right, good luck. That is Bill Lester in the 22. He's got a long way to go to get to the front, Wendy.
All right, I've caught up with David Reagan. David, you already have one race under your belt today. You raced the ARCA race. How did that go for you?
We had a good time. We had a real good car. The Palm Beach Graydon Dodge was just super fast. We started 35th position and ran out on points and moved up through the field. We gambled a little bit. We decided not to pit, and everything just worked out our way. We would have liked to went back green, and we had a car that I felt like could have won the race, but sometimes you catch them lucky breaks and sometimes you don't. But we got another race to look forward to tonight, and you know, the Fiddleback truck is it's a pretty sporty piece. You know, it's a top 15 truck. I think we can adjust on it a little bit, and we can be a little better.
Now, what do you do on these rain delays? You were rain shortened in the ARCA race. You're sitting here on pit road before the truck race. What does that do to you mentally?
Well, you know, definitely we all sit around and eat a lot. We got a good cook, the Tom Eldridge, the team owner. He cooks some pork chops and steaks and stuff like that. So sat around and ate some and talked to my motor man and my tire guy here about some strategy tonight about how long we can go on fuel. That's going to be somewhat of an issue. And just kind of sit around and talk, and, you know, it's a little bit of relaxation period. But at the same time, you know, I'd rather be out there running hard and getting this thing on the way.
All right, David Reagan taking advantage of the extra time tonight. Let's go up to the booth.
Well, thank you, Wendy. They're getting very close. The track has almost come to be completely dry, and now they're working down on the apron and making sure that that is dry. The trucks will come out onto the track in a little bit, and they will also help the drying process. But as for now, they continue to drive the safety vehicles around on the apron and try to get the end of the moisture off of the track. We will be back with more from Kentucky Speedway as the officials are about to tell the drivers to get into their trucks. Back to the built Ford Tough 225 on speed. NASCAR officials are letting us know that they're going to start the engines at 9:15, and so we are just around the corner from getting this event underway. Standing by with Chase Montgomery is our own Ray Dunlap.
Well, Chase had a little double duty today. If you didn't see him earlier on TV, up in the booth as a commentator. How about that?
That was a blast, you know. I hope that doesn't mean commentating's in my future, because you're doing an awesome job. So.
Well, we think behind the wheel's a good idea for you.
Well, I hope so. So maybe we can get the job done. We had a great car in practice. This whole BHR2 team is doing an awesome job. Gladiator Garage works. And they've come a long way since the beginning of the year. This is my ARCA team from a few years ago, so we're out here having a blast.
Tell me about this kind of racetrack. You like mile and a halves?
We've had good luck and bad luck. My second time here, we actually led a ton of laps, ran out of gas with the lead. So it's been good to me and it's been bad to me. I enjoy coming to these places. I'm having to relearn them in a sense because these trucks are just so much different. But with a coach like Chad Chaffin and Bobby Hamilton, I mean, what do I got to lose? I got two of the best coaches out here.
Absolutely. Good luck tonight. That is Chase Montgomery. He is in his rookie season, and Wendy is standing by with someone who's making her very first start.
Yes, she sure is. Actually, 3 years ago to the weekend, Deborah Renshaw made her very first start right here in Kentucky in an ARCA race today. You're starting the truck race for the first time. How did this deal come about, racing for Keselowski's tonight?
You know, it actually came about very quickly, but I'm very honored to be racing with Kay and Bob Keselowski, and it's a good, solid team. They've had great finishes in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and to be able to make my debut with them and also at home track, Kentucky Speedway, it's awesome to be here.
Now, never racing a truck before, how worried were you about getting that first practice in this morning, and what did you learn?
Well, the rain has definitely dampened the weekend a little bit, but we feel real good. The truck's real stable, and the difference between a car and truck, it's tremendous. Now, let me tell you, wave. You got to drive these trucks down in that corner, and that was some adapting for me to get used to. But all in all, we're going to have a good run. We've, simple goals this weekend is to finish and to make a good debut for the Par 4 Plastics Ford, and hopefully we'll have a good run here.
You're the first driver on pit road that I've talked to that has a Speed Channel hat. Hey, you were involved in the softball game the other night. What's your take on?
Hey, we had a good time over there, so I thought I would support Speed in honor of the softball game. So it was fun. We all had a good time. Drivers against Speed Channel, so I think you had some fun too, didn't you?
I sure did, and the game's tied, but we never.
How did they do that?
I don't know.
We ended in caution. How do you do that?
Never green white. You always have green white checkered in the truck series.
That's right. We didn't have that in the baseball game.
I don't know, but we had fun. Deborah Renshaw's looking to have a good run in her first truck series start. Let's go to Rick Allen.
NASCAR has let us know that they're going to put the drivers into the trucks, get the trucks out onto the track to finish the drying process. And so we're minutes away from the firing of the engines for the Built Ford Tough 225 at Kentucky Speedway. We'll be back with more on Speed. Now to Wendy Norris.
Well, thanks, Rick. We've gone all the way through the field. We can't skip NASCAR veteran Randy LaJoie, who's in the field tonight. Randy, how is your truck, and are you finally ready to get this race started?
Man, let's go racing. This Harris truck and Dodge. We'll see what we got. Todd Bodine drove it last week. Mark McFarland drives it a little bit. I'm ready. Let's go racing.
All right, he said it. Let's go racing. Let's go to Rick Allen.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And all of the drivers are now into their trucks. And with that being said, we need to hear the most famous words in auto racing, and so we go back down trackside for the command that will start this event off at the Kentucky Speedway. And with the rain, obviously they're a little bit frantic down on trackside, so we will hold on for just a moment before they get the engines fired up. Again, the rain came in about 3.5 hours ago and drenched the track. They thought it was going to stick around, but the skies cleared up. The wind blew a little bit, helped them dry the track a little bit quicker. Normally it takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes to dry, but that's with the sun beating down on the track that they can do it that fast. And when it was the clouds coming over as well as night falling, that was not helping them dry the track. So it's taken a little bit longer to get the track dried, but they're very close, and now they will use the assistance of the actual race trucks on the track to help dry more vehicles, creating more heat. Hopefully drying the track out quicker.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of heat generated by the exhaust systems on these trucks, so that will definitely help accelerate the drying of this track.
Oh, it sure will. And the drivers want to be in their trucks. They want to get out on the track and run around. Even if it's a little damp, they still want to be out there and get ready to go.
And a lot of the drivers saying, hey, let's get this thing underway. Randy LaJoie being the most recent, wanting to get everything underway. And so the officials now gathering up all the dignitaries down on trackside. So let's go back down for our command.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the most famous words in racing. Welcome back. Ford F-Series Super Duty brand manager Phil O'Connor with the command. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
That may be the only time the roar of the crowd was louder than the roar of the engines. The crowd is ready for the start of the Built Ford Tough 225 at Kentucky Speedway. We'll be back with more live on Speed. Back to Tough 225 on Speed Channel. Blue skies peeking through those wisps of clouds above Kentucky Speedway. Let's take a look at the U.S. Army starting grid. Dennis Setzer and Carl Edwards will line up in the front row. Again, this is based upon points. Qualifying was rained out yesterday. Third consecutive top five at Kentucky, or 3 consecutive top 5s at Kentucky for Dennis Setzer. Bobby Hamilton had the fastest truck in practice. He's making his 60th career start tonight.
There's Matt Crafton, tied his career best last week with a 5th place finish in the GM Goodrich Chevrolet.
John Wood will start on the inside of row 4. He is the Kentucky track record holder for trucks since we didn't qualify this year.
And Ted Musgrave, starting right there in row 5, had a tough break last week, but felt his truck's pretty good for tonight.
There's Mike Skinner inside row number 6. Very, very fast and abbreviated practice we had this morning in the Toyota.
And our next row there, David Rudiman, having a tough break last week. There again, fast in practice today too.
David Starr starts on the inside of row number 8 in the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. Had to miss this race last year because of a testing injury at Milwaukee.
And Bill Lesker, engine change, has to go to the back. Look forward to see him coming up through. Runs go down a 1.5 miles.
There's David Reagan on the inside of row number 12. A great run today earlier on speed in the ARCA race with a 2nd place finish.
Wenda was talking with Deborah Renshaw. She will make her first ever Truck Series start at Kentucky.
There's Jay Sauter inside row number 18. His first Craftsman Truck Series start in almost 5 years. A 4-time series winner. Formerly drove for Richard Childress in the Truck Series.
36 trucks were here. All 36 will start the race tonight. Craftsman track description for this 1.5-mile tri-oval.
Very, very fast. 14-degree banking in the corners. But Johnny, we talked about earlier, this racetrack used to be extremely rough. They ground this racetrack. They continually try to make it better. All the drivers rave about it being smoother. You were here a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago I ran a Busch race here. Very smooth. I mean, I heard all the drivers talk about how rough it was. We got on track, very smooth, and also two grooves, which would be great for the race tonight.
Terrific purse there, Rick. Almost $750,000. One of the biggest purses of the whole year.
Second highest purse for the Truck Series. We'll be riding on board with a few different trucks. Starting in 28th position will be the number 12 of Robert Huffman.
There's Terry Cook, the Power Stroke Diesel Ford. 2 top 10s in a row coming into this race. Trying to get that streak going. Continue with new crew chief Jamie Jones.
This will be the 151st top 10 start for Jack Sprague. He starts 10th, and he's only run 183 races. That's a pretty good starting average.
There's last week's winner, Carl Edwards, starting from the same position he started last week on the outside of the front row. He doesn't want a first lap like he had last week. He got into the fence after contact with Dennis Setzer on the very first lap. They worked on the truck all day long, ended up in victory lane.
One of the hardest working women in all of the Truck Series. Did a great job in our pre-race show. Wendy Norris.
Well, thanks, Rick. We're just waiting for the green flag to fall here, but we are going to talk about one of the most consistent drivers in the Truck Series right now is Matt Crafton. Of course, he has 4 top 10s in a row, so he has been on a roll this season. Crew Chief Wally Rogers says their goal is just to be consistent this year, rack up the points, and be there at the end. Ironically enough, they have waited this long in the season to start building new trucks. They wanted to see how their first trucks in their stable reacted with the tracks they've been to. So now they are starting to build new trucks at Kevin Harvick Incorporated. So you will expect to see Matt Crafton in new equipment, new trucks in the upcoming races. And Matt Crafton looks to move up in the points after this week. He's already in 5th in the points. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Wendy. You know, every week we talk about how important the crew members are down here on pit road. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Take a look at these guys, Ted Musgrave's crew members, right? They'll all be ready to go to work, Fonzie and Keith Plaza. But you see Steve Haraney on the wall. Steve is normally a tire changer, but this week he's going to have to be a jackman. It's been over 3 years since he's gone over the wall as a jackman. Why? Their jackman, Rick Pennington, missed his flight today out of Charlotte. He didn't make it here. So Haraney will now be a jackman, and they had to bring in an extra tire changer. So a little bit of confusion down here of who'll be doing what. But we'll keep our eye on crew members and see if these guys are able to do the job for Ted Musgrave.
Ted Musgrave very strong a week ago, and then had the problems late, the accident. He had mentioned it, got loose, the air taken off the spoiler, and really tried to overcorrect and got into the wall.
Yeah, Ted Musgrave talked to him earlier. He said that gosh, I hadn't done that in years, where I just lost control of the truck. He really apologized to the guys, and said that was his fault, and unfortunately, he said probably won't happen again. Wendy?
Matt Crafton's already off to a shaky start before the green flag falls. We just found out that he has no radio communication with his team. The only person he can hear is his spotter, and that spotter is Rick Corelli.
When an event like this takes place, when you have problems, when you have rain delays, and just things keep compounding on, and then you've got problems with communications, Johnny.
Well, I'll tell you, as a driver, you're sitting in that truck going, man, okay, I can hear somebody. How come they can't hear me? So the crew has got to say, okay, can you hear us or not? You know, so they start asking questions, stick your hand out the window, hit the door, do something, just so they know that, know that they can hear them.
And we see the green-yellow right now, meaning that this event has officially started. They are taking the green-yellow. They're going to try to dry the track. We want to make sure that this event is completed. And so NASCAR is officially starting the race. So we are underway, but there obviously can't be any passing because we're also under caution.
That's right. And remember, last week, Dennis Setzer started from the pole. Same situation because of a rainout. Never led a lap. Got involved in an altercation with Carl Edwards on the first lap, and then ended up getting taken out on the second lap. But he will get 5 points in this race because when they come back around to complete lap 1, he will be leading.
Ray?
Hey guys, so let me follow up on that Musgrave story just a little bit. What do you do when you're short a crew member? Well, you go to the other garages and look for somebody. This is Mike McLaughlin. He changes tires for Ryan Hemphill's car. They won the race earlier today in the ARCA Remax Series. So Mike came over and said, I'll help you guys out. They were short a tire changer. So Mike McLaughlin will go over the wall for these guys to help them out.
One thing that with this starting the race under yellow, more or less, it's got to hurt a guy like Bobby Hamilton, because Bobby Hamilton was so strong in practice, and it looked like once the race started that Bobby Hamilton might have just the green flag to get by everyone and jump out and lead laps and get the points that he was looking for. But this is going to shorten the number of laps that he's going to be able to race with these guys.
Rick, you see where Bobby Hamilton is right there. He's right behind Dennis Setzer. As long as he can see the leader like he can, it's not going to be a problem. If he was starting back in 25th for whatever reason, had we had qualifying and he had a bad qualifying run, then it may be a concern. But even if they run 10 or 15 laps under caution, and I'm not sure how many they're going to have to, Bobby Hamilton isn't worried about it because they had such a good truck. He can see the leader. He's got plenty of time.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of racing. There's no doubt they're going to get this thing going. They have a lot of racing to do. Bobby, like you said, he's going to be right there, right behind the leader. He doesn't have to go too far to get in the lead.
Rick, one thing we have to think about is that this race is 225 miles long. Well, these trucks probably, we saw for briefly, our pit window was about 55 to 65 laps. Well, the better trucks may get 65, maybe 67 laps on a fuel load. Well, this race is going to be 150 laps, but we're going to run a lot of laps under caution right here to drive the track. So could some of these teams try to stretch this thing where they can run maybe 112 and a half miles on each fuel load, because everyone knows that you get better fuel mileage under caution than you do when you're racing under green. So I think a lot of teams are going to be down there with calculators when they determine how many caution laps they're going to run and say, hey, can we stretch this thing? But I doubt it. 225 miles is just a little bit on the outside of how long they can make this race a one-stop race.
If you're just joining us, I want to catch you back up. Yesterday, qualifying and practice was rained out. We thought the rain would have moved through, but the ARCA race was run earlier today, and it was rain shortened because rain came down. Well, they dried the track. Everything looked good. About 3.5 hours ago, another rain shower hit the track and soaked it fairly well. And so the track has been drying for a little over 3.5 hours now, and we're about to get underway. And actually, we are underway with the Built Ford Tough 225, which is live on Speed from Kentucky Speedway. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Johnny Benson. We've been telling you a little bit of the stories coming into this race as far as who we think is going to be very strong. Bobby Hamilton proved that his truck is extremely good in the 2-hour practice that we had earlier today. Who are the other contenders that might be able to run with Bobby Hamilton once we go to full speed?
Well, I think, the championship contenders are always very good. No matter what happens in happy hour practice, they'll make their adjustments. They'll be fine as the race gets going. And you know, there's a couple guys outside the top 10 that might be able to do some good. But, you know, it's so hard on these races to be able to pick 2 or 3 guys that are going to go out and win.
You've got Chad Chaffin, who everyone said in the garage area that was pretty good, Bobby Hamilton's teammate. Obviously, they share information, so they know what kind of setup Bobby Hamilton has in his Square D Dodge. That has been able to help Kip McCord, Chad Chaffin with that Diggy's Dodge. Ted Musgrave is another one of the guys that everyone talks about being extremely good in practice, and Dennis Setzer was very good, especially in the second practice.
And one guy we can't count out is last year's winner at this track, Carl Edwards, and standing by with his crew chief right now is Wendy Morris.
Kevin Cowboy Starlin sits atop the pit box just waiting for it to really go green flag racing. What does this rain delay do to your strategy?
Right now, I don't think it's going to do anything. We're just going to play it out like it's going to go 150 laps, race the whole race. The radar looks okay. I think we're going to get it all in, so we're not going to change anything unless something happens. We start seeing this, you know, clouds getting real heavy here. You know, Spotter can see pretty good over there. So he's going to kind of keep an eye on what's coming behind him.
I was really impressed last week the way you guys rebounded from that accident on the lap 2 and won the race. Do you have another truck to win tonight?
I think so. This is one of our favorite trucks. We've raced it about 4 or 5 times so far this year, and it hasn't finished any worse than a 7th. And Carl said it was real racy, and that's exactly what he said at Kansas.
All right, Kevin Cowboy Starlin, let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Standing by with their teammate, this is John Monson, the crew chief for John Wood. What's John saying about the racetrack out there?
John says it looks decent, but it's hard to tell in some spots where they've ground the racetrack. It's a different texture, so it's a different color. It almost looks wet, and you really can't tell if it's wet or not.
Okay, well, how about that? The drivers repeating back to the crew chiefs, and of course they relay that information on to NASCAR.
John Wood finishing second at this race a year ago behind his teammate Carl Edwards. So they were hoping for good things for this team. We continue to dry the track at Kentucky Speedway. The Super Chips Ford team looking to make it 3 wins on the season. He's got 35 trucks to beat tonight. Ford Tough 225 on speed. We're at Kentucky Speedway for race number 11 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Rain delay has caused us to back up a little bit the start of this race, but we're about to get underway. They are telling us we're within 5 laps of the start of this race.
Let's see if we can talk to Carl Edwards and see what he thinks about the track. Carl Edwards, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Phil.
Carl, we're getting reports that we're going to go green inside of 5 laps. How does the track look?
Pretty good. There's just a couple little wet spots, but we went dirt racing last week, so we're ready for a little slipping and sliding. I think it's good to go.
All right, Carl, we saw what happened in the first lap last week. How about being careful on that first lap?
Oh man, it sounds good, doesn't it? It just never seems to work out that way. We definitely want to make it through the first lap this week, though. All joking aside, the guys work too hard to tear these things up, so we'll just go down there and see what happens.
All right, Carl, good luck.
Thanks, Phil.
You see on the Ford indicator on the top of your screen, 8 of 150 laps have been completed. We did start the race officially under green yellow, and so to officially get this race underway, it was started, but the trucks are on the track to help dry that. As you see, there are just a few spots on the track that are a little bit wet. Ray?
Oh, Rick, I was just wondering, as we look up at the scoreboard and see 8 laps complete here, and as we might have 4 or 5 more, I guess the question I have for Phil and Johnny, or you guys up in the booth, is are these laps counting for Dennis Setzer? Is he the leader of this race? Because remember, there are 5 bonus points available for whoever leads the most laps. So if we get ready to go real green here, does he have 13 laps led?
That's exactly right, Ray, and that's obviously one of the benefits from being the point leader. You coming into this race and they rain out qualifying and you start on the pole, and due to inclement weather we have to get the trucks on the racetrack to try to dry it. You lead and you get credit for it.
Yeah, there's no other way to do that. I mean, he is a pole sitter, he is the leader. That's just what's going to have to happen. Not that often you want to see it start this way, but that's just the way it's going to be.
Carl Edwards will start on the outside. This is a very similar situation that we had a week ago in Kansas. Dennis Setzer started on the inside, Carl Edwards on the outside after a rain delay situation where we didn't have qualifying. We didn't have practice. We had a very abbreviated practice the day of the race. And then Dennis Setzer got loose and got into Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards got into the wall in the first lap of the race.
We're seeing 2 laps to go. The flagman is holding 2 laps to go till we go to actual green flag racing. But remember, this is a little bit different, Rick. We had a 30-minute practice session in Kansas City last week, and then no rain in between that practice session and the race, and we saw all sorts of havoc come into play. This time, we've had rain since the practice session, so I mean, to me, the track would be even more of a question now than it was last week.
Yeah, you would think that, but this morning at 10 o'clock, they were on the racetrack, on a green racetrack, pretty much just like it is now. So I think that they could probably think back to this morning. How did that feel? I think everything will be fine. I think it'll be a little bit different than last week as everybody went through that.
One big question, and we're seeing shots of it right now, the jet drivers are on pit road. When guys come down pit road, that is probably not going to be as dry as the racetrack will be, so they're going to have to use caution when they come down pit road.
They're going to have to be. I mean, they know that. I'm sure NASCAR's been telling the crews and the spotters, they've been telling the drivers, look, when you're going to come down to pit road, just be a little careful. It's going to be a little damp. So as they come in and get to pit road speed, they'll be fine. Going out, probably the same situation. Actually, going out is going to be worse than coming in because the tires are cold and it's probably damp down there also.
I know Johnny and I both have been in situations where you work so hard to get the track dry, and then you start the race and you have an early caution flag and have to come down pit road, and pit road is still saturated, so you really have to tiptoe.
Flagman letting them know next time by, they have 1 lap remaining. Next time by, they will see the green flag. That means Mike Dolan will pull the pace truck down onto pit road, out of the line that these drivers are running, and we will go back to actual green flag racing.
Something everybody's been waiting for this entire day. These race fans, what a terrific crowd here at the Kentucky Speedway. They've been very, very patient. We're over an hour late starting this race, so they can't wait to get it underway.
Power stroke diesel number 10 of Terry Cook. Also ready for this event to get underway. We'll ride along with Jack Sprague, number 16 Chevy Silverado.
There's Robert Huffman, a Toyota, out of George Dibbert, our stable.
Carl Edwards
on the front row.
Yep, on the front row, ready to go.
The pack of 36 makes their way down the backstretch for the final time before we go actual green flag racing. And you do see a few spots that are a little bit wet, and so NASCAR is letting the drivers know that they need to use caution, but at the same time, they know that the drivers want to get this event underway. And so as the pace truck and the cars make their way out of turn number 4, they will see the green flag fly, and we're underway with the Built Ford Tough 225 at Kentucky Speedway. A very cautious group making their way through 1 and 2. Carl Edwards has jumped out in front of the pack. He will lead the pack down the backstretch.
John Wood looks to make it 3 wide going in turn number 3 on the inside of Travis Quapple.
You see Dennis Setzer really taking his time after probably what happened last week. He says, look, I'm just going to get a good clean start, get some heat in the tires, get going. Everything's going to be fine for him. It's a lot better right now than what he had.
We have teammates side by side. There's Bobby Hamilton, number 4, Square D Dodge. Gets by Chad Chaffin on the inside.
Chaffin trying to hold off the 46 of Dennis Setzer as they go down the backstretch. Carl Edwards leading his 6th race of the season. He led 40 laps here in 03 in claiming the victory.
Look at Matt Crafton up on the high side. One thing about this racetrack, Johnny, you can run 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide. A great surface and good grip all the way to the top.
The outside of this racetrack is a very good place to race, and the start of this race is not bad at all, because the bottom, if it's going to be wet anywhere, it's going to be right down there at the white line. You see just a little tail of darkness there where it's still a little damp, so the outside's going to be good.
Race for the lead right here. We talked about how strong Bobby Hamilton's truck is, and right by Carl Edwards he goes to take this top spot.
I don't think one person in the garage area is surprised that Bobby Hamilton went to the lead and he went this quick. Great side-by-side battle for 3rd right there. The 14 of Rick Crawford on the outside, the 18 of Chad Chaffin on the inside.
Another Bobby Hamilton Racing truck. And
whoa, trouble!
He got sideways on the inside of Carl Edwards, and Chad Chaffin's able to keep it off the wall. The caution flag flies. A great bit of driving by Chad Chaffin, keeping all the fenders on that truck.
Chad did a tremendous job to go down there and get sideways. One, not go up and hit the wall with the track being the condition is, and two, nobody collected him like what we saw last week at Dennis Setzer. Everything was good. Everybody missed him. Chad Chaffin's sitting in a pretty good spot right now.
Let's take a look, Johnny, what happened. It's so reminiscent of last week. You see him on the inside. When you get on the inside, you've got another truck. As Rick Crawford was pulling by on the outside, it just pulls the back of that truck right around.
It does, you know. I mean, as you can see Rick Crawford come right down on that door, and instantly Chad's truck starts to come around on him, and it's just a tough break, but a good opportunity. Guy's going to maybe come down pit road, work on him, but no damage.
Good move by our point leader, Dennis Setzer, to get by on the inside along with Matt Crafton. Close call. Looked like John Wood barely avoided Chad Chaffin on the inside.
Reminiscent of 1 week ago. Not too many green flag laps, and caution flies early on.
Boy, good heads-up move by Chad Chaffin. He was doing all he could do to get that thing straight, and John Wood was coming around the inside, and Chad was actually aimed for John Wood and cut the thing back to the right at the very last instant, avoided contact with John Wood.
Yeah, Chad, all he was doing was making sure he didn't hit the wall, then making sure he didn't come down back in front of traffic. So everybody did a good job getting through there.
John Wood being shown in 8th position after the start of this race. Dropped back 1 spot. He started 7th on the grid. Chad Chaffin has really been on a roll since his win at Dover. He had 5 top 10s since that obvious win, which was a top 5 at Dover.
Included a great second place run at Milwaukee. Really strong late in the race. One of the last drivers to put tires on. Snipped Dennis Setzer right at the line for second position. That team is really showing some promise.
Ray?
Hey, Rick, they were getting ready down here. The Dickies Dodge crew is all up on the wall. Chad Chaffin will pit the next time. Kip McCord, his crew chief, was watching the television broadcast, saw how much he spun, said, we can't take any chances on those tires. Let's bring it down. Why didn't he pit that time? Chad missed the entrance to pit road. He said he just couldn't see it. So next time around, he will head to pit road, and they'll put 4 fresh tires on it.
Missing the entrance to pit road. We've seen that at other tracks. Kentucky is not one that you would think would be a difficult one to get down pit road.
Well, I'm not sure what he means by missing it. Obviously, he knows where pit road is, but sometimes the flagman is very hard to see. He might have not known it was open that time. It's probably going to be okay. Not a lot of people are going to come down pit road this time anyways. So he'll come in. It's a good call on those guys. Get the flat spots off there. They can get them off the truck. They can look at them. If they're okay and they need them later on, they can use them. But awful, bad choice to stay out. Good choice, come down and get them off.
Yeah, Rick, as Johnny mentioned, there were only 4 trucks that made a pit stop that first time by. Most of the leaders are electing to stay on the racetrack, so Chad will come down on pit road right now and get 4 fresh Goodyear tires and get the flat spots off.
Makes his way down pit road now, and we go down to Ray.
Well, thanks, Rick. They're not totally sure they're going to put tires on it. What they want to do first is look these over and see if there are any flat spots on them. I would expect they are, and they'll put those on. Now, Chad said, let's go down around on the track bar and put a little wedge into it. He wants to tighten this thing up. Said we can always free it up later, but he said he didn't know whether he could save it just like that one more time. He said that one was pretty close to getting away from him, so it didn't take very much gas there. You see, they will put the wedge wrench in. They go down 1-2 rounds on the left side. And they will go ahead and change the tires. Kip McCord said, looks like we need to do it. So they'll put fresh tires on here. This will be lap 17 when he gets his tires and fuel. Make a note of that as we keep track of fuel mileage tonight in this race.
A little bit of problems on that left front tire, getting it on as far as holding them up a little bit. But when they look at those tires, because we have a limited number of tires in the truck series that they can utilize, how bad does the tire have to be before you can't use it?
Well, I mean, it's tough. He did slide a long ways. I'm sure he's got 1 or 2 of those into the cords. They had to change them. They had to take them off the truck, at least look at them anyways. They can always put them back on later, but they had to do that.
Yeah, as Johnny's talked about earlier a couple of weeks ago, these tires only have about 3 or 4 30-seconds of an inch of rubber on them, so it doesn't take much when you're sliding sideways across the racetrack to wear the rubber right down to the course.
Green flag flies again at Kentucky Speedway. Bobby Hamilton takes it this time with Carl Edwards just behind him, Rick Crawford, Dennis Setzer, and Matt Kraft in the top 5.
Great restart by the 15 truck of Shane Meal. He's passed at least 2 trucks, got a good run, anticipated the green flag, passed him on the outside, which is legal. There he is right there, center of your screen racing. Looks to the inside of Steve Park, the Orleans Dodge. John Wood right behind him.
You still see the outside of the track is pretty good. It looked like Shane Meal had the outside run on him, decided he's going to go down underneath them. Very cautious getting down into turn 3 on the inside. Pretty smart thing to do right now.
3 wide as they went across the start-finish line. John Wood in the middle, obviously checking up, noticing that you can't go 3 wide through 1 and 2 right now. Mike Skinner takes advantage of that and moves out in front of the 50 and the 24.
Bang teammates made a John Wood sandwich there. You had Travis Quapple, that's the black truck. He's typically in a yellow truck, but right now he's running the black truck for Bang Racing. There's Ted Musgrave right behind Travis Quapple on the outside.
Travis Quapple in the nuts.com 24 this week. And they're side by side. Again, a great battle for 10th position. That NTN Bearings, number 17 of David Rudeman in 13th position. With more on Travis Quapple, we go down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, just wanted to add that Travis has been on the radio saying he hates the truck up on the high side. He'd really like to get down to the bottom. He said it's just really, really loose up there. He's trying to find a way, if he can get out of that traffic, to get his truck down to the inside of the racetrack. Does not like driving on the high side.
That's going to be fine for later. You know, if he's a little loose right now, I think that'll be good. The track will tighten up as they get heat, the moisture out of it, and, you know, the longer they run, it'll start to tighten up a little bit, and I think he'll be happy with this truck as the time goes.
Most of the drivers and teams talk about trying to make their truck, as you mentioned, a little bit free to start with, because as they wear the fuel load down and as the air pressure builds up, as we see Mike Skinner go battle for position with Shane Meal, he takes over the 8th position. As the fuel load goes down, air pressure builds up, these trucks have a tendency to tighten up, so you want to be a little free to start with so you're not too tight as you wear out the fuel.
We expected that Bobby Hamilton would dominate this field. He's already put 1 second between himself and second, but a great battle for 5th position between Dennis Setzer and Steve Park in the 62.
You know, Wendy talked to Steve Park earlier tonight and talked about how his season has turned around. He's coming off 2 4th-place finishes in a row. I think we're going to have to get used to seeing that Orleans Dodge at number 62 back up front like it was all last year with Brendan Gaughan. Steve Park, Charlie Wilson are really getting their act together right now. They're a strong top 5 contender each and every week.
Now, as drivers, you know that this track was just completely soaked not 2 hours ago, and yet these guys are going 170 miles an hour around this track.
Yeah, but there's a thing a race car's driver's going to do. When the green flag throws, it is time to go. And they're going to race. They're going to be a little bit cautious, but as we see, the speeds are really good. They're fast. Maybe not quite as fast as what we saw this morning, but that's only because the track is green and still a little damp.
Steve Park taking away the position from the 46 of Dennis Setzer, and so Steve Park moves into 5th.
Jack Sprague takes a look now at Dennis Setzer. Jack really didn't know what to expect from his truck. He said he just was not very fast in practice. He said it drove pretty good. I'm just not very fast, but he's got a pretty good truck, looks like. He's running 7th right now.
I think the key word there, he said it did drive good. And that's one thing. Sometimes you don't need the speed. It's got to drive good. It's got to be predictable. He can use a little bit of draft here to get some of that speed back.
Setzer started up front because of the points leader. He's dropped back to 6th position. Wendy, what's happening?
Not much with Dennis Setzer other than the fact that his truck is loose. That's his only complaint. So they're already talking about the changes they will make to that truck. Talking about a spring rubber, adding that in on the next pit stop.
The lead continues to expand. Bobby Hamilton, 1.83 seconds now on 2nd place Carl Edwards. And Carl Edwards is not running bad at all. It's just that Bobby Hamilton is dominant tonight. Carl Edwards looks back on the rest of the field. Bobby Hamilton trying to put him 2 seconds back. We continue at Kentucky. Monday at 7 p.m. tune into Speed Channel for Inside Nextel Cup, the show that examines all the racing action from the driver's seat. You can join Michael Walter Kintrader and our own Johnny Benson. Host Alan Bestwick will give you the inside scoop inside Nextel Cup every Monday night, only on Speed Channel. Bobby Hamilton continues to dominate the field. Wendy?
Well, we reported when the green and yellow flag fell at the top of the race that Matt Craftsman had no radio communication with his team, and that is still the case. Lucky for him, he can talk to his spotter, Rick Corelli. Rick Corelli got him through that wreck with Chad Chaffin, the first caution we had come out. So of all the people that can hear Matt Craftsman, Rick Corelli's probably the best one. He's communicating to crew chief Wally Rogers everything that Matt Craftsman feels with the truck. Also, the 62 of Steve Park, we've seen him moved up to the 3rd spot. I asked, what has he been saying on the radio? The team said he doesn't talk during green flag, so we will not hear anything about the truck until the caution flag flies.
It must be pretty good right now, Rick. He's right on the rear deck lid of the 6 truck of Matt Craftsman. Great run, started way back.
12th position.
Back in the 12th position, so he's got a terrific run going. There you go, you see it, lap 6, 12th. Obviously, we started under caution, all the way up to 3rd position on a lap 33.
And he's looking pretty good here, too. You know, Matt Craftsman, at least, you know, they said they could communicate with the spotter, and the spotter could relay any information back down to the pit box. So they're not in real bad shape there, but sometimes it's nice just to hear the guy's voice.
Johnny, we had a situation last year with John Wood and John Monson where the only person John Wood could hear was the spotter. But the spotter couldn't even communicate with John Monson, so John Monson would call him on the cell phone and give him information to give to John Wood, and they did that the entire race, and I think they won that race, if I'm not mistaken.
They sure did. As we mentioned, Steve Park's moving forward. The problem is one of the drivers out there on the track is moving backwards. That's Carl Edwards. He started outside pole and has dropped back to 6th position. With more on the Super Chips, Wendy Norris.
Carl Edwards is just complaining that his truck is super loose. He cannot drive it. He told his crew chief, Kevin Cowboy Starlin, we need to do something to this truck when the caution comes out. So they're talking about dropping the track bar on that truck to see if those adjustments will help that loose condition.
Johnny, you mentioned that the track's going to tighten back up again. So do they want to adjust on it if they're going to have long green flag runs?
Well, it's going to be up to Carl. Carl's going to say, okay, no, it is just way too loose. We need to tighten it up a little bit. Or he's going to, you know, he's going to run it for a little longer here. But they've run enough green laps that he's going to say, okay, we're going to have to tighten up just a touch.
You don't want to get it too tight, as Johnny mentioned. So he's going to have another 20 or 30 laps of green flag racing probably, but unless we have a caution flag that allows them to pit earlier. So he'll have a great idea what his truck's going to do on a long haul.
Wendy Norris at the top of the show mentioned one driver who's had a lot of bad luck to start off this season was Steve Park. But the good luck seems to be in Steve Park's corner now as he's moved up to 2nd position.
Terrific run going. Here's, you see Steve Park. There's a pass on Dennis Setzer, our pole sitter, right there early in the race.
Yeah, here he is passing Rick Crawford. And one thing you notice, Steve Park, he's been on the bottom every time. A lot of guys have struggled being on the bottom. Now he's going by Matt Craftsman for 2nd. There again, on the bottom, Steve's truck looks very well.
Watching the scoring monitor, the nice thing is right now, Steve Park was, the last lap was exactly the same as Bobby Hamilton, and this lap he's about 1/10 of a second quicker than Bobby Hamilton. So Steve Park's truck is on the move.
And Phil, that's the first time we've seen that all day. We saw 2 hours of practice earlier. No one was faster than Bobby Hamilton, and now we finally see someone who is clicking off laps a little bit quicker than Bobby Hamilton.
Well, Bobby may have not have run a lot of laps. This is the first time that he's probably run a lot of laps, you know, in a green flag deal. He's probably still pretty good. I don't think he's complaining. He's still out front, and he'll probably continue to be good throughout the day.
Bobby Hamilton had built as big as a 4-second lead over 2nd place Steve Park. And here's 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's Roush teammates John Wood in the 50. Carl Edwards were riding on board now, looking at Mike Skinner, trying to take away the 8th spot from Carl.
John was able to get by his teammate Carl Edwards for the 7th position. Mike Skinner trying to do the same thing. Carl Edwards is really, really struggling right now, but as many repairs as Cowboy and his guys made last week with damage to the truck, and to get it as good as it was at the end of the race, don't count him out yet.
Now he's going to be a contender at the end of this race. He'll make some adjustments to it. You know, some of these guys just happen to hit a little bit closer right now. Long ways to go.
Side-by-side racing, that's for 8th position. Carl Edwards currently holding it. Mike Skinner wanting to take it away. Mike Skinner, our inaugural champion in the Craftsman Truck Series. Carl Edwards looking to try to claim his first ever series championship here in the trucks. And look on the inside, the 75 of David Starr making the pass on both of them.
Drives right by the 99, now trying to get the 42 of Mike Skinner. David started back in the 15th position, all the way well into the top 10.
Great battle between David Starr and the 42 of Mike Skinner. Wendy?
Well, I talked to Rick Wren, the crew chief on Mike Skinner's truck before the race, and after that practice session, they decided to free up the truck. Well, now Mike Skinner is complaining that the truck is too loose all the way around, so that could be why he's losing spots to people such as David Starr.
Wendy, as you mentioned, Mike Skinner's crew chief is Rick Wren. For the last couple of weeks, we saw those teams switch crew chiefs. Rick Wren was over with Travis Quapple, who was right behind Mike Skinner, and Eric Phillips was with Mike Skinner. They swapped back to how they were to start the season. Rick Wren back with Mike Skinner, and Eric Phillips back with Travis Quapple. Right now, they're currently both being shown in the top 10.
That's pretty tough to sometimes go through that, but sometimes you have to make a crew change just to see, okay, how can we get better? They tried it, may have picked up a couple of pointers, says, hey, you know what, let's switch back. We might be able to learn from this. Both trucks, like you say, up there in the top 10, both running pretty good.
Travis Quapple just takes away the 9th spot from Mike Skinner, right?
Well, Rick, I'm really not sure what they're going to do on their first pit stop, because Travis said his truck is way loose when he goes into turn 3. But it's not like that in turn 1, so the ends of this racetrack are somewhat different. He's very loose going into 3, so they'll try to adjust on that. Now, we saw a real good battle there as Skinner was with David Starr in the number 75. What Starr did earlier today to try to make his truck better was went up on the rear spring to try to get the spoiler up in the air a little bit. They worked on that thing throughout, and David said he felt like they made a lot of improvements to the Spears Manufacturing Chevy.
One thing, when I ran this Busch race here a couple weeks ago, that same thing happened. The truck was very good, or my car at that time was very good getting into turn 1, really loose getting into turn 3. We couldn't fix it the whole time during practice or during the race. So I think it's just a little bit of the racetrack over there. Might be ground just a little smooth. Truck just slides across it, but the rest of the racetrack, there's no problem with that.
Wouldn't you rather drive on a smooth track than the bumps that some drivers complain about?
Yeah, I mean, you want it smooth, but I think it was almost like glass or like paint on a track or something. It's just, I don't know what it is. I didn't walk around the track. I probably should have walked over there to see what it was. Just really slick. Just that one spot in going into 3.
I know coming in here yesterday, you said there seemed to be a slick spot getting in turn number 3. Hardly any of the drivers complain about getting in turn 1, just like Travis Quapple, but I've heard a lot of drivers talk about getting a little bit too loose getting in turn number 3. I'm familiar with that too, because last time I actually drove a race car was a Busch car here in 2001, 3 years ago, and I got so loose getting in turn number 3 that I lost control, got into the outside wall, and that ended my days. So it's obviously slick going in 3.
It is very slick. I mean, we see a battle here for 5th. Great racing out there all around. I mean, fans are seeing a great race.
Great battle for 5th position. Shane Meal, we talked about his successes as of late for the Billy Baloo number 15. And Rick Crawford in 14 just behind him, claiming his first victory of 2004 in Martinsville earlier.
Rick had a terrific run at Kansas City last week with a 3rd place effort. Shane Meal looked like he might be well on his way to his first Craftsman Truck Series win last week. Ended up getting in the fence. He said, hey, the driver just screwed up. The thing was loose. Got away from me.
Great battle for 12th, 13th, and 14th. Terry Cook out in front of the pack. Andy Houston at number 2. And looking on is the 99 of Carl Edwards.
Carl's fallen all the way back to the 14th position. So he's obviously fighting that loose condition. He would love to see a caution flag right now to get in, make some adjustments, tighten that thing up. And there's Dennis Setzer. There's number 1, number 2 in the point standings, running side by side for the 14th position.
I think as these guys get racing, you know, they're thinking, okay, my truck doesn't feel good. I need to make some adjustments. But they're both saying, well, there's the other guy. So hopefully we can make some adjustments and get a little further ahead of him.
He's obviously having just as much trouble as I am, because we started on the front row, and here we are 49 laps into the race, and we're side by side again.
Take a look at the points as of now. If the race were to end right now, Bobby Hamilton would be our new points leader. 6 points back Dennis Setzer, 37 back Carl Edwards.
How about that? Now that's how quickly some things can change here. Again, the race is not going to end right now. Dennis Setzer, Danny Gill are going to make some adjustments. Carl Edwards, Cowboy are going to make some adjustments. Their trucks will be better as this race wears on.
Just past 1/3 of this race, 51 of 150 laps are being completed. Carl Edwards has dropped back to 15th position as he watches David Ruderman drive by. Bobby Hamilton, the gap between himself and Steve Park had closed down to 3 seconds. It's back to 4 seconds between your leader and second. Speedway. Pit stops are underway. Ray Dunlap.
Bobby Hamilton very happy with his Square D Dodge. He said, if we get a chance, though, I would like to pull a tape off of the grill just a little bit. And if you have time, give me a clean windshield. Pull off there. So these guys get ready to go. The crew chief, Danny Rollins, does the front tires. Dale Newcomb on the rears. Stephen Douglas is their jackman. Here these guys go to work. It will be a 4-tire stop this time. Danny gets that thing going over on the front. Other trucks come down pit road. One tire does get away just a little bit, but it'll be inside their pit box when they get ready to go. These guys continue with their pit stop. Left sides are done. Hamilton gets that tape off the front. They get the gas in it, and he will be the first off pit road. Jack Sprague will make a big adjustment, and they also will move out. Sprague will be the second truck off pit road.
Four-tire change for Bobby Hamilton is able to still get out in front of the field, but he was running really well, and so even if he didn't get out in front of the field, he still had a very strong truck. Again, we're under caution number 3. The reason for that is because of Shane Meal.
And the bad luck continues for Shane Meal. Got to be very, very top of your screen. You see him go all the way up towards the wall, makes some contact with the outside wall, but watch this truck when he comes down the backstretch. You see the right front of that truck, that's the wheel sticking out there. Either broke a wheel, Johnny, or had a wheel loose that maybe fell off and it broke the center out, looked like maybe.
Well, it may have been loose and it just broke the center off, and as you can see, it's trying to come out of the truck. Went up there and just bumped the wall a little bit with that tire hanging out. Probably did a lot of damage out of it. You can see the center is broke out of it. It's coming into pit road, and like I say, he's in the garage working on it because he's got more than just that center that broke when he did bump up into the wall.
There's a shot of the truck in the garage. Remember Sears Point, the Infineon Raceway, just a couple weeks ago, Robbie Gordon lost a wheel before they'd ever made a pit stop, so his wheel was left loose on his car, on his Nextel Cup car. So we'll have to see whether maybe that was the case with Shane's truck, or maybe he just broke the wheel.
There's a lot of things that can happen. You know, the wheel could probably just left loose. That's very uncommon to have that happen, or just some little problem with the crack in the thing. But as you see the damage on the wall here, he did hit pretty hard. Could have broke it when he did that too, but it was, you know, something definitely got him going toward the wall.
We saw this a week ago. Dennis Setzer behind the wall working on his truck, was able to get back out and have somewhat of a successful finish, finishing 25th. There are 22 trucks still on the lead lap at Kentucky Speedway.
We heard Bobby Hamilton wanted to clean that window. That's probably because of a little bit of moisture on the track when he got into, or riding behind those guys. You get a little bit of dirt, start to stick to the window. Just get me that clean, I'll be good.
There's a 07 of Shane Sieg. He elected to stay on the racetrack, lead a lap or two. He's now going to make his way on pit road. We'll leave Bobby Hamilton right behind the pace truck in the lead. He hasn't ridden behind too many guys, Johnny, for long, because he made a pass early on and drove away.
I'm sure that all the guys wanted the windows clean. Just running under caution there with the water coming up, getting it on the window. Then, of course, once they got going to green, sometimes pick a lot of dirt and grime, and it sticks there. And get it clean, get a good clear view of everything. Makes it a lot better.
Bobby Hamilton practiced using predominantly one set of tires the entire practice and then scuffed a set of tires just to make sure they were okay. They worked out very well for him. So he has a new set of tires on the number 4 Square D Dodge, and obviously is running very well. Wendy?
Well, when did you guess it? Right as the trucks came down pit road, we had a little bit of trouble with the microphone. So let me update you on the trucks on this side of pit road. Let's start with Matt Crafton. Of course, he had that loose condition. He was loose in and loose off. So they did 4 tires and fuel and only an air pressure adjustment for Matt Crafton. Remember, he has no radio communication with his team. He's only talking to his spotter, Rick Corelli. Also, the 62 truck of Steve Park, he was pretty happy with this truck. 4 fresh tires, no adjustments on the 62 truck, and also Carl Edwards came in and he was not so happy with his truck at the start of the race. It was super loose, so to tighten it up, they made that air pressure adjustment, pulled rubber out of the right rear and added rubber to the left rear. So they think they made all those adjustments on the 99 to get them back up front.
I was listening in during practice earlier, and Carl Edwards actually suggested putting a rubber into the right rear to adjust the handling of that truck. And so obviously now race situation has changed from practice earlier. And Carl Edwards had to go to the end of the longest line because he had a pit crew member that came over the wall.
Another his problems continue for Carl Edwards. That moved him all the way back to the 22nd position. He would have had to go to the tail end of the longest line. There are 22 trucks on the lead lap. Carl now is trying to make his way back up towards the front. You see Chad Chapman. There's 3 wide battle right there going by some lap trucks. There's the 38 of Brendan Witt on the inside. Brendan's being shown on the lead lap. The 08 of Ken Weaver is being shown 2 laps down right now.
Carl doesn't want to stay back there very long. You see him 3 wide right there in that start. And he says, all right, it's still early, but I still want to be up there. Let's go.
22 trucks on the lead lap. The top 5, Bobby Hamilton, Jack Sprague, John Wood, Travis Quapple, and Matt Crafton. That predominantly coming off of pit road.
Yeah, Travis Quapple looked like he might have gotten loose a little bit over there in 3 and 4. A lot of trucks were able to pass by. He's in a 12th position. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened to Travis Quapple. You see him going down. He's on the outside of his teammate Mike Skinner. Gets a little bit loose, wiggles, has to drive up the racetrack, Johnny, to catch it.
Yeah, as he slid up the track, you know, you want to get slowed down to make sure you don't get into the wall. Probably got a little bit of debris on there. Take a lap or 2 to get that stuff off and you'll be fine.
Normally, it's the truck on the inside that loses air on the back of the spoiler, and that time Travis Quapple on the outside of his teammate.
Well, remember, these trucks now are full of fuel. They have fresh tires on. The air pressures are down, so this is the loosest the trucks are going to be. Probably they will get tighter as they go, so they have to tiptoe a little bit until they get the air pressures built back up.
Familiar sight, a new second place. That's John Wood in the number 50 out in front of Jack Sprague, who now has moved back to 3rd. John Wood finished 2nd in this race to his teammate Carl Edwards a year ago.
John was pretty happy with his truck earlier today in the practice session this morning, but again, there was some guessing as we see Steve Park pass by David Starr. That's for the 6th position. Steve restarted this race in 9th. He came in the pits in 2nd, but John Wood was pretty happy with his truck in the earlier practice session. But there's a little bit of guesswork going on, Johnny, because again, even though they think this racetrack was going to go back like it was at 10 o'clock this morning when they practiced, really nobody knows.
No, nobody knows. I mean, you see Steve Park there had come in 2nd, come back out 9th, a little bit. Had maybe a little bit of problem on a pit stop there, but his truck is really good. He's coming up through. And you're right, you're making guesses on what you think that this race is going to be with the rain and also being nighttime. You know, they ran in the morning. Sometimes you just, you want it to be a little loose at the start of the race. Some guys may be just a little too loose. They'll make adjustments and, just work with it as the day goes.
That Orleans Dodge had a bad pit stop. They dropped all the way back to 9th, as you had mentioned, Phil. But now he's moving his way back through the field. That is a very strong truck.
He's got a great truck. He was able to match Bobby Hamilton's lap speeds right before that caution flag where everyone pitted just a few moments ago. So I was curious to see what would happen once they got together. But obviously the pit stop eliminated that possibility. Bobby Hamilton came out in the lead as we see Steve Park trying to make his way by Mike Skinner. One thing we haven't talked about much, Steve Park working him on the inside. These drivers are about 3/4 of a second faster, Johnny, than they were last year. good. You brought a little bit softer tire. As you talked about earlier, they ground the racetrack and made it a lot smoother since the trucks were here last year. So they're running a lot faster than they were last year.
Yeah, you know, the crews, obviously, they get better and better with the trucks. You always get a little bit more horsepower. The tire, as you said, comes back a little bit more grippy. The track being smooth always adds for some speed. So there's a lot of things going, but a lot of those advantages happens for everybody. But it's just who being able to, make those adjustments better. As we see David Starr go by Mike Skinner now for the 6th spot, and he was pretty good in practice too. Talked to him for a little bit. Felt good about his truck also.
Spears Manufacturing moving up into the number 6 position. Ray?
Hey, Rick, here in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about all kinds of changes that these guys made on a lot of different trucks. But on David Starr's, not a change. 4 tires and fuel, absolutely nothing else. So those guys have been very happy. Not an air pressure adjustment or track bar or anything. So those guys were really happy with the Spears Chevrolet. Now, Terry Cook in the number 10, they had a lot of work to do. For him, he was not very happy about the way his truck was. They put a rubber in the right front and went down on the track bar to try to improve his position. And you see there, Cook is now going to make a move to the inside on Crawford. Crawford got 4 tires on that pit stop. They put stickers on for him, and he said he wanted to have just a little bit of air into the right front. So they did that. Other than that, no changes on the circle bar Ford. Now for the number 1 of Ted Musgrave, you want to talk about some big changes? These guys really went at it on the Mopar Dodge. They put a rubber in the left rear, and it took a couple clicks out of the right front shock. Also air pressure adjustments on the left side. So Ted making some radical changes to try to move his way up. That's why he's so far back in the pack, as these guys had to do a lot of work, and he lost a lot of spots on pit road. But hopefully that'll help him later.
A lot of guys making changes. The 99 of Carl Edwards needed to make changes. He was going the wrong direction, backing up through the field, but he's now going the right direction because he started in 23rd after he had too many men come over the wall on his pit stop. He's up to 15th position.
There's Ted Musgrave trying to see if he can figure out a way by Carl Edwards. Look him go to the outside. Ted was one of the trucks that really worked the outside in practice, Johnny. We were standing on top of haulers watching, and he worked the outside quite a bit.
There's very few trucks that did that. You know, Ted is one of the guys that I think he remembered that the outside groove is pretty good. He needed to go up there during practice. You kind of get a feel for it. You know, you run the bottom, you make your adjustments, and you say, okay, maybe I'm just a little tight here. Let's move up to see what it does. If it makes the truck tighter, you know that you got to free it up. If it makes the truck loose up there, then you say, well, maybe I'll keep it right there.
Trouble for Carl Edwards.
We saw sparks under that Super Chips 99 of Carl Edwards. Something has broken on the 99. Problems continue for our points leader and second in points. Carl Edwards having problems with the Super Chips Ford.
Right in the middle of the back straightaway, something we saw sparks underneath. I don't know if the engine blew. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Carl's talking to his crew. Watch right underneath this truck. That's him in second position, right behind. See the sparks. Johnny, I gotta believe something happened with the engine. Wendy, what happened down there with Carl?
Well, they're still trying to figure it out on the 99 truck. He said that it still has pressure, but the truck is vibrating bad. After all those changes on that last pit stop, the truck was still super loose, but I don't think this has any effect on what's going wrong with the 99 truck right now.
Let's ride along with Carl Edwards as this took place.
That was kind of an odd deal there. Not sure what that was. He's probably pretty miffed about it right now too. He just slowed up. It looked pretty big, like something obviously did happen underneath there. So they just have to go through and see what happens. We're here, maybe it's a clutch that may have broke on it. A lot of sparks going up underneath the thing. So something definitely broke. Something definitely come up underneath that truck.
Caution flag has not come out though. And so the 99 Super Chips Ford continues to lose laps to the field as he goes down onto pit road.
What a horrible break for Carl Edwards. Gained almost 100 points on Dennis Setzer last week. Came in this race second position in points, only 34 behind, and he's obviously got serious problems. And you're going to see him make the hard left to go behind the wall. So his day is essentially over as far as being in contention.
Yeah, the engine was running, so we know it's not that. I mean, we're hearing that it's possibly a clutch, but the crew's got to get underneath the thing, got to find out exactly what it is.
Early on, we talked about the luck of Steve Park. Well, he's making his own luck right now as Steve Park is working his way up to second position as he gets by John Wood.
Got by John Wood and the 16 truck of Jack Sprague. He was fourth last time by. Comes by this time second. Great battle. Second, third, fourth, and fifth. That's the six of Matt Craftsman. Looks to the outside of Jack Sprague for the fourth position.
We have great racing second through 35th, but somebody who isn't even close to this field is Bobby Hamilton. He's put almost 8 seconds between himself and second place.
Yeah, we saw during practice how good he was, and the key is going to be is can he stay good that whole race. He might not be able to do that. These guys are going to work on their trucks and get off a good tube.
Now Steve Park has some clean racetrack right now, so we're going to see how he can run relative to Bobby Hamilton. He got where he ran about the same speed before the caution flag where they all pitted. So we've got a great battle going on there. You see Matt Craftsman, the 6 truck on the outside. That's Jack Sprague's truck we're looking for. And here comes David Starr in the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet taking over the position for Jack Sprague.
That's one thing you don't see a whole lot is get freight train from the outside of it. This shows you just how much grip it's got here, and Matt Craftsman goes way out no man's land to go ahead and make that move around the outside.
Second in the points coming into tonight's race. Carl Edwards off the track right now, standing by with Wendy Norris.
Well, Cowboy Starlin actually climbing underneath the truck right now. We heard you say on the radio that it might be the clutch, Carl. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think we had a clutch or a flywheel or something break. It was something important because it wouldn't run very well after that. It's the guys back at the Mooresville Engine Shop build great power. I'm sure it was a parts failure of some kind, but boy, this is frustrating. We had such high hopes. We had a tire going down that first run, and we got off on our chassis. But my Super Chips guys will bounce back here. We'll make the best of it.
All right, Carl Edwards, always the optimist in the Truck Series.
Difficult situation sitting in that truck as they work on it, trying to get him back out onto the track. But obviously, quite a few points being lost as the trucks continue to stay under green at Kentucky Speedway.
Good run going for David Starr in the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. I talked to Dave McCarty in the garage right before the race, and he said, we're going to be good tonight.
David Starr, one of the many trucks running very well tonight, but nobody is running as well as the Square D Dodge of Bobby Hamilton. Almost 8.5 seconds ahead of second place, Steve Park. Matt Craftsman in third, David Starr in fourth, and rounding out the top 5 is Jack Sprague. We'll be back with more from Kentucky.
Every guy in America that I know would love to have a toolbox like Circle Bar Racing takes to the racetrack. But the problem is this rolling unit with nice ball bearing slides would set you back between $6,000 and $8,000. That's not practical for a do-it-yourselfer like you and I. But for under $250, you and I can buy this unit from Craftsman. It's 26 inches wide with 5 drawers, and it has ball bearing slides and an easy open latch. What I really like about this unit is when you shut the top lid, now all the drawers are locked. And if you're going away on vacation, just take the key with you and all your tools are safe.
And for some reason, Ray won't ever give us that key. Bobby Hamilton was our leader at the halfway point. No driver other than Ted Musgrave this year has won a race if they were leading at the halfway point. Bobby Hamilton put in his truck in some pretty precarious situation.
Got a lot of lap trucks in front of him. Watch a 3 and 4 wide. Watch him split the difference here, Johnny.
Yeah, I tell you what, you know, for Bobby to put his truck in jeopardy like that with that big of a lead, shows you just how good he thinks he is. Just go ahead and run 3, 4 wide, whatever it takes.
Bobby Hamilton was our leader at halfway. It is an official race, so even if a downpour would happen right now, we would still be official as far as finishing the race at Kentucky. We don't want to do that. Only one other driver leading at halfway has won a race this year, and that's Milwaukee's Ted Musgrave.
That's really amazing because a lot of times, you know, we think the driver that is dominant leads the most laps, leads a lot of laps. And, you know, it's only happened one time where the driver leading at halfway has gone on to win the race.
But a lot of that, I think, is that the guys have been able to come down pit road, make adjustments. Guys that sometimes at the beginning of these races, just because they walk away doesn't mean that they're going to be that dominant at the end of the race.
Well, perfect example was last week with Carl Edwards. Hits the wall in the first lap. Cowboy and all the guys spend the rest of the race working on the truck, gets in position late in the race to take the lead, and goes on to win. Obviously didn't lead at halfway.
Bobby Hamilton continuing to dominate up front. And one of the things that he's doing right now is he is solidifying his place as potentially our points leader at the end of this race, because Carl Edwards, who started second, was second in the points, has gone behind the wall with damage. Our points leader currently is in 16th position. And not only is he in 16th position, but he's almost 28 seconds behind Bobby Hamilton. Well, if they're clicking off 31.5-second laps, it's only a matter of time before he laps our points leader. And with more on our points leader, Wendy Norris.
Well, when we talked to Dennis Setzer at the top of the show, we do know that this is the same truck that he ran at Kansas that was wrecked on lap number 1. The team went back to the shop and worked on this truck all week long. The problem today is simply handling. The truck is super loose. They came in on lap 53 with all those other trucks down pit road, made a lot of adjustments, added rubber to the right front, took it out of the right rear, but it still wasn't enough for Dennis Setzer. The truck is still loose, he says, if not worse.
We take a look at the points. If the race were to end right now, Bobby Hamilton 9 points ahead of Dennis Setzer, 94 ahead of Carl Edwards, who's off the track.
Yeah, that's what a big hit Carl Edwards will take in the points this race. Even if he gets back out, and he probably will, he may be able to gain some positions, but he's going to take a giant hit. With more on number 4 truck of Bobby Hamilton, Ray Dunlap.
Well, Phil, you know, I told this story last week about what chassis that Bobby Hamilton had, but I think it's worth repeating this week. He brought Slim Shady, but remember, this is a truck that they took to the short tracks at the beginning of the season. He ran it at Martinsville and Mansfield and also at Memphis. He had a big win with it at Memphis, so you would think that would be a short track truck forever, right? Nope, last week they brought it back out, took it to Kansas City and finished second. And so far, of course, he has been the dominator tonight. So pretty amazing to me that these guys have taken a truck that would normally just be a short track truck and make it work this good on the mile and a half.
One thing after talking with Bobby Hamilton and some of the guys, they don't have a lot of trucks, so you're probably going to see a lot of the same trucks that he runs at a lot of various tracks just because they don't have 8, 9, 10, 12 trucks sitting in the shop.
And Johnny, a lot of the crew chiefs and drivers say if you back off in the corners and you don't run wide open, then you need downforce. They try to build as much downforce in these short track trucks as they can, and that's why a truck like Bobby Hamilton's is running so well.
Bobby Hamilton Racing also has the advantage of a teammate in Chad Chaffin. Now, for a couple races after Chaffin won at Dover, they were going to the track with a little bit different setups, and Bobby Hamilton wasn't too pleased with that. He wanted to make sure that they were learning off of each other, and they had a little talking to after last week's race. Chad Chaffin went to Bobby and said, hey, we were junk last week. We need to get back to where we're running the same type of setups that you're running, because we're running a lot better that way. Bobby said, that's exactly what I wanted to hear out of you. Here's everything that we're doing. They're sharing information again, and it shows. Bobby Hamilton out in front. Chad Chaffin currently in the top 10 right now, running in 9th position, but running very well.
Johnny, you've been a part of 2-car teams before. Is that how they're supposed to work?
Well, it is. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. You both got to come to the track pretty close to the same so you can work off that information. But you have to still learn things. Sometimes you got to come with one of the vehicles just a little bit different so you can try to find out if there's anything better out there. You know, as good as Bobby's running right now, sure, that's what you want to run. But, you know, some of the tracks where you're not as good, you got to try a couple things, move around. But when it comes to race time, they both got to have pretty close to the same setup. That way they can learn off the whole race.
Bobby Hamilton making his way around the 59. Randy LaJoie piloting that truck tonight.
Bobby's setting a pretty torrid pace. You see Randy LaJoie, the 59 truck, Jim Harris trucking Dodge going down a lap. Mike Skinner and the Bain Toyota is already down 1 lap, being shown in the 20th position.
Last graphic on the screen showed Bobby Hamilton leading 78 laps. This is his 79th lap that he's led. He will receive 5 bonus points for leading the most laps tonight. Only 3 times this season has the driver who led the most laps gone on to win the race. Edwards at Daytona, Musgrave at Milwaukee, and Jack Sprague at Mansfield.
Well, if nothing happens to Bobby Hamilton and he doesn't get caught in some pit strategy where some of the drivers are able to go a little bit longer on fuel if they make green flag pit stops, I think people are going to have a hard time catching him. But I'm telling you, Steve Park is maintaining. We saw Bobby Hamilton with over an 8-second lead a few laps ago. Well, now it's under 7 seconds. It all depends on how they catch traffic as to who runs a quicker lap. Ray?
Well, Phil, let's add on that pit strategy thing. Here's the deal. If the caution were to come out right now, Bobby Hamilton could pit and go the distance to the rest of this race. How far can he go? 1:15, so we're getting close there. He can go 10 more laps, so at lap 1:15, he'll be out of fuel. That's when he needs to pit. These guys are just hoping that's about the same for everybody up and down pit road.
Bobby Hamilton historically does not get as good a fuel mileage as some of the other teams, but I talked to Danny Rollins, his crew chief, this morning and said, I think we can run 60 laps, which is really, really good for Bobby Hamilton. All the drivers pitted on lap 53, so if he can go to 1:15, that would be 62 laps, so they're even getting a little bit better fuel mileage than he thought. Wendy?
Well, the trucks that I'm covering have even better fuel mileage. Apparently, they can make it. The 6 truck of Matt Crafton is saying they can make it to lap 120, and the 62 truck of Steve Park, I asked them the magic number, and then they said 118.
Steve Park has not led a lap at Kentucky Speedway, and he's chasing Bobby Hamilton, who's 7.5 seconds in front of him right now.
He's probably hoping at one point in time Bobby will come down there so he can lead that lap. Wanting to get 5 extra bonus points and him being up front.
Fourth caution of the night has flown. The 02 of Kelly Sutton, the Team Copaxson 02, has problems, and so our fourth caution flies, and this is an ideal time for all the teams because they'll come in and they'll all be able to make it to the end of the race.
We're on lap 97 laps completed. We're on lap 98. Everyone's going to be in their pit window. This should be the last pit stop for all these teams. Great timing for this caution flag for everybody except Kelly Sutton.
There were 16 trucks on the lead lap when this caution came out. One will get the position back, and so that will make it 17 on the lead lap, and that just means that Bobby Hamilton has been extremely dominant tonight, putting that many trucks a lap down.
One guy that really wanted to see that caution right there is Dennis Setzer. He was getting pretty close to that point where he might be a lap down. This saves him. He's going to be in good shape, making his adjustments.
All the lead lap trucks will be allowed to come down pit road next time by, we believe. They have been caught up to the pace truck. Mike Dolan leading the field. Bobby Hamilton out in front of the field again. Steve Park, Matt Crafton, Jack Sprague, David Starr are your top 5 as they get ready for their final pit stops.
We saw Steve Park come out in the 9th position, came in second, came out 9th. It's time for his guys to have a great pit stop. He needs to stay in contact with Bobby Hamilton so we can put a little pressure on Bobby and see if he maybe can alter the handling of Bobby's truck and see what he can do with it.
Rounding out the top 10, the 50 of John Wood is 6th. The 10 of Terry Cook is 7th. 14 of Rick Crawford 8th, the 18 of Chad Chaffin 9th, and the 17 of David Rudiman is currently being shown in 10th.
And Bobby Hamilton on pit road. All the leaders will be on pit road here.
Leaders are coming down pit road. All the lead lap trucks are coming down.
There's a 6 truck of Matt Crafton, bottom of your screen. 4 tires on that Goodwrench Chevrolet owned by Kevin Harvick. See the right side's done, going around to the left. Wendy.
Well, you see in the middle of your screen the 62 of Steve Park coming in for 4 tires. Harley Roush comes around the front tire. A little bit slow on the left side. They're finally getting the left sides jacked up. Trouble on the right rear. The right rear tire changer comes around. The truck was a little loose. They're making those adjustments. The right rear tire is finally finished. Let's go to Ray.
So far, no mistakes. Bobby Hamilton will be the first off pit road and by a far margin. But Matt Crafton is going to gain a spot there as he'll get ahead of Sprague. Those guys do a good job, but no mistakes down here for the Square D crew. These guys got 4 tires on and off and keeps Hamilton the lead.
You see how wet pit road is here, so it's probably a good thing that these caution came out. These guys can come in, pit under yellow or caution, as opposed to having to race and get out on that wet access road there.
So much trouble for this 62 truck Steve Park. Again, we were hoping he would have a good pit stop so he could stay up near Bobby Hamilton. Bobby was able to win the race off pit road. Steve Park had so much trouble on the right rear of that truck. And they obviously had to wait for that right rear tire changer to come around. Let's see if we can take a look at maybe what happened on the right rear of Steve Park's Orleans Dodge. Here you see him coming to the pits. There the jackman is going to get the truck up. Watch the right rear tire changer. See what happens there. They pull the tire off. He goes to put it on. They're making an adjustment. Some lug nuts fell off. You see him reach down on the ground to pick up lug nuts. At least 2, not maybe 3 lug nuts fell off. He had to reach down off the ground, pick them up, put them on. It delayed him from coming around to the left rear side of the truck. A horrible break for Steve Park.
Even with a perfect truck or a perfect stop, Steve Park still has to contend with Bobby Hamilton, who has definitely the class of the field in the trucks tonight. Wendy?
This is actually the second time this has happened on Steve Park's truck. The first time they came in, they had the same problem. The lug nut fell off on the right rear tire. So crew chief Charlie Wilson said there might be a problem with the glue that we're using on the lug nuts. Steve Park came over the radio and said, we can't have this. We are not going to win a race with this kind of things happening on pit road.
That is frustrating as a driver. You finally work your way up into second place. He's had to do it twice now and have some type of problem. Now, whether it be just glue or nuts falling off or whatever the case is, it's just very frustrating to be able to get, back up to the front.
Frustration continues for the Orleans team, but one team that's celebrating, coming out first after leading most of the laps at Kentucky, is Bobby Hamilton. 2:25 live on Speed. Bobby Hamilton, the class of the field, sets the pace as they come back for the green flag, and he has dominated pretty much every lap on this track. 87 laps led for Bobby Hamilton. Dennis Setzer led 11 early on in the race when we were under caution. Carl Edwards led 2. Shane Sieg has led 1 lap.
Bobby Hamilton has dominated this day. As you mentioned, he dominated the practice sessions, and he's dominated this entire race. Looks like Steve Park may have the best truck other than Bobby Hamilton, but right now he restarted this race in a 10th position.
Matt Crafton was able to get off pit road second, but you see the gap already beginning to build between Crafton and Bobby Hamilton.
And Bobby's truck is just so dominant. Right down the bottom, goes anywhere he wants, moving right along.
Take a look at Steve Park. Looks to make it 3 wide. Decides better of it. Following the 17 Indian bearing truck of David Rudum. He's on the outside of Rick Crawford, the 14 truck.
Moving right up the track. They're side by side. David Rudeman falling behind the Tundra.
One thing Steve Park didn't want to see is get caught in traffic. He's got some good trucks in front of him, but it's just so hard when you run that good and then have to deal with all this traffic once again.
3 wide right behind him. A great run by Robert Huffman, too. Right now being shown in the 8th position, right in front of this giant battle with David Rudeman and Rick Crawford and Steve Park and Tracy Hines. And there's Andy Houston, the 2 truck.
17 trucks being shown on the lead lap. You mentioned 9th through 11th. Chad Chaffin dropped back to 12th. Brandon Witt running in 13th right now. And our points leader coming into this race, Dennis Setzer, has moved up to 14th position.
The key is he's on the lead lap. He's got a shot at a good finishing position. There's a good shot of Terry Cook, currently being shown in the 5th position right now. They've really got this thing going. They brought Jamie Jones in a few races ago. We mentioned earlier 2 top 10s in a row coming into this race. Looked like he may have had a top 5 going last week. Spun out coming off turn 4. Still managed to finish in the top 10. Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Phil, they gained him 2 spots on pit road, too. They put stickers on that Power Stroke diesel Ford and went down 1 round on the track bar. Terry says it's pretty good coming off the corner, but he doesn't know for sure exactly yet whether it's improved it, but they did make a track bar adjustment, but they did get him 2 spots coming off pit road.
And he's looking to take away another spot from John Wood, who's just in front of him in 4th position.
Pair of Fords doing battle right there. I think Terry Cook's truck looks pretty good right now. He's able to keep a lot lower in line coming off the corner, and that allowed him to get a little bit of momentum right there. He tries to work to the outside of John Wood.
Yeah, I must feel his truck's pretty good. He's just working John Wood around a little bit, just trying to get ahead of him. Looks like he's able to hook the bottom extremely well. Hopefully get by him here shortly.
2 Fords have won this race previously. Carl Edwards, the most recent. A Dodge looking to claim the top prize now. This looks a lot like Atlanta, except Mike Skinner's actually going forward as they go across the start-finish line.
Yeah, Mike Skinner was on pit road when they got ready to restart this race, so he was late getting back on the racetrack. So Bobby Hamilton is putting Mike Skinner down another lap. That will put him down 2 laps. Really struggling here in this race for Mike Skinner.
And as strong as Mike Mike Skinner thought they were at the start of this race. Obviously, things have changed for Skinner. Now Crafton getting by Mike Skinner as Skinner moves high on the track. Wendy?
I was just gonna let you guys know the 42 of Mike Skinner. All that was miscommunication between crew chief Rick Wren and the spotter and driver Mike Skinner. They came in down pit road as the green flag was coming out, so he lost another lap because of that. I wanted to update you on Matt Crafton. He still has no radio communication with his team. The only one that can hear him is his spotter, Rick Corelli. They came in for 4 tires and fuel and no adjustments on the 6 truck. He told spotter Rick Corelli was very happy with his truck.
Wendy, the nice thing right now is they really shouldn't do any more pit work, because most of these teams will start with 3 sets of tires, 1 on the truck, 2 in the pits. All these teams have already changed and used all their tires. The only tires they would have left would be the ones that they practiced on this morning. So all he needs to talk to is Rick Corelli, for Rick to be able to clear him and maybe help him with his line a little bit and not worry about what's going on in the pits and try to get up front here and get his best career finish.
And his truck is pretty good right now. He's probably not talking a whole lot anyways. I mean, when a truck is decent, you're running up front, the driver really doesn't talk a whole lot. He's still running fairly compatible times with Bobby Hamilton, you know, a little bit better than what we've seen some of the other trucks, so Bobby's not pulling away quite as fast.
And as you mentioned, Bobby not pulling away quite as fast. Matt Crafton's really doing a heck of a job in keeping Bobby Hamilton in sight. No other truck had been able to do that all night. Now, Matt Crafton was in a very similar situation last week as he was running very strong, led a few laps. That was the first laps that he's led all year at Kansas, but then Carl Edwards was able to get by and drive by him, and Matt Crafton's truck fell off a little bit at the end of the race.
Still ended up with a 5th position, which tied his career best that he got earlier this year at Atlanta. So again, similar type of racetrack to Atlanta, Kansas City, and here at Kentucky.
You see that the leader's speed almost 2 miles an hour faster than Matt Crafton is running right now. So Bobby Hamilton is moving quickly away from this pack again. Ted Musgrave making his way through the field. He was in 17th position. Ray, what's happening?
Well, they've just not been good all night here, Rick. They've said it wicked, wicked loose. That's what Ted's been saying on the radio. And basically the guys in the crew think that they may have a broken sway bar arm. That might be the problem why they can't make any improvements. They've changed so many things on this truck, and it just hasn't been one bit better. So they believe they might have a broken sway bar arm. That's what's making Musgrave so loose.
Johnny, I think maybe some of these teams were caught off guard because typically people think when you practice during the day and then you race at night, the track's going to tighten up. We've heard so many reports of so many trucks being loose. I think some of these guys were caught a little bit off guard.
I think so too. You know, a lot of times that's just a common goal. If you run during the day, loosen it up. Get it loose, because at nighttime it's going to tighten up. Maybe this track is not doing it. It's the first time they've been on here since it's been ground. It's smooth, you know, with this tire also. So might have caught a couple of the teams off guard. I think, you know, I don't think Ted Musgrave's sway bar, it could be loose. Maybe not broke, but maybe just loose. That can cause a lot of havoc in a truck.
Now, a year ago with Ted Musgrave, we remember a race that happened where he was talking about they were making so many changes to that truck and they couldn't get it to change the effects that they thought should have happened. And the problem was the chain was too tight that holds the rear end up so that when they go to change tires, the rear end doesn't stay on the ground. Could that be a problem?
Well, that could be a problem. And oftentimes when they think that's a problem, they'll reach under there with bolt cutters and cut that chain in two to make sure that's not a problem. The only thing that affects is during a pit stop. As you mentioned, when you jack the truck up, you don't want the tire to keep dropping out. It takes too long to get the truck off the ground to change tires. That would be the only thing it would affect. It wouldn't affect anything on the racetrack if they cut that chain.
Now, and sometimes you may have to do that because it's affecting you so much on a racetrack. It's better to have the jackman have to pump it once or twice more in a pit stop than to lose all the time on a track.
Ted Musgrave lost 4 spots in the points race last week, and Dennis Setzer had probably his worst finish of the year last week when they had the problems. And now Dennis Setzer being shown in 15th position, but that points lead looks like it could disappear, and Bobby Hamilton could be our new points leader.
That's a battle right there. That's the 0-7 of Shane Sieg battling with Dennis Setzer and Ted Musgrave for position. You know, we talked about what a championship effort it was last week for that team to get that truck back on the racetrack. Well, you're not going to be able to have too many days like this where you're going to finish 15th really without any problems and win this championship. It's competitive as this series is. You've got Bobby Hamilton running so strong up front. Carl Edwards, another one that typically doesn't have that many problems behind the wall for a number of laps. I think he's still behind the wall, going to be finished back in the 30s somewhere. So these guys got to get it together. You know, I think that Danny Gill and Dennis Setzer was one of the teams that we talked to that they felt like this track was going to tighten up. They maybe have been a little bit loose in practice, and they may even have loosened up a little bit more, thinking the racetrack was going to get tighter. Obviously it didn't, and they're struggling.
Carl Edwards behind the wall. They have the hood up on the Super Chips 99 Ford. We saw early on in this race sparks flying from out underneath that number 99. He's being shown in 33rd position as he is off the track. He will probably finish 33rd. We look at the points as of right now. Bobby Hamilton will be your new points leader if Dennis Setzer's not able to make up any ground. All he would have to do is make up 2 positions right now, and Dennis Setzer would actually be tied with Bobby Hamilton for that points lead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Johnny. Dennis Setzer's being shown about 3 seconds behind the 38 of Brandon Witt, who's a truck right in front of him.
And he knows he can get those back. I mean, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, he had a 131-point lead. That's almost a top 5 or within that now, as you see a great battle here.
Inside of 30 laps remain at Kentucky Speedway for the Built Ford Tough 225. Bobby Hamilton continuing to lead the field around this mile-and-a-half tri-oval. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Built Ford Tough 225 on Speed Channel is brought to you by the United States Army. And is having a more dominant run than Bobby Hamilton in the Square D Dodge.
Now we saw him almost an 8-second lead earlier. Now it's just 4 seconds with Jack Sprague being in second. Jack's not going to let him get off too easy here. He's going to go up there and try to chase him down and see what kind of times that he can put. Maybe not quite as fast, but long ways to go.
Jack Sprague taking away the number 2 spot from Matt Crafton. Crafton fell off the pace and probably didn't let Jack Sprague get by, but Jack Sprague made that pass.
Well, Bobby Hamilton still 2.5 tenths of a second faster that lap than the second place truck of Jack Sprague. A torrid pace he's setting here.
And in practice, Bobby Hamilton was running 31.4, 31.5 as slow as that last lap, 31.67. He is not falling off at all, but Jack Sprague's trying to reel him in. Ray?
Rick, real subtle air pressure adjustments for the number 16. They went down on the air pressure on the right front and just a half a pound on both left sides. Jack said he wanted just a little bit more to try to help him get into the corner, but they didn't want to ruin it. So very subtle changes for him. It did help him get up there and get past the number 6 truck, but so far not a chance to do anything to advance on that Ford truck.
And nobody has advanced on the Ford truck. He's just run so strong. Another guy that's put a very good effort in is Terry Cook tonight. Terry Cook running in the 5th position.
Just a few moments ago, we got a report that he got together with the 75 truck of David Starr. You see David, the 75 truck on the inside. See when he comes off the corner here, see if they make contact. Terry fights back on the outside. I don't think they made any contact. He tried to get very close to him. Let's watch this right here. There's John with the 50 truck. Terry trying to pass him on the inside. There's the contact we heard. The 50 and the 10 making some contact.
David Starr back there just watching in the 75. John Wood not knowing what to do, if he should retaliate or just hold his line.
It's just part of racing there. You come up off the corner, you're going to use as much of that racetrack as you can, and you kind of use John Wood there, kind of use him as stop as he's sliding down.
Here comes the 62 of Steve Park, and that lap car or truck, excuse me, slowed down the momentum, but Steve Park in the 62 was on a big run right there until he got slowed down.
Had a lot of momentum. The 63 truck of Chris Wimmer was right in his way, but Steve's going to try to get by the 75 of David Starr. Going to see if he can follow the 10 on the bottom. Look at Chad Shaflin on the outside, making it 3 wide.
3 wide racing, and we knew Steve Park was going to be back up here. We knew he was going to be coming. It's going to be a little while. There he is.
Steve Park having to overcome problems in the pits. He had a problem with his right rear. They lost some lug nuts putting on that right rear, and that dropped him way back, almost to the back of the lead lap trucks.
We hear the drivers talking about being out in clean air so often. Well, that's what's really hurt Steve Park. He's not been able to be in clean air because he had to restart this race back in the 11th position. So he's been racing this traffic the entire time. He was able to get by David Starr, but Chad Cheffin was able to get by both of those trucks and move up into the 6th position right behind Terry Cook.
Steve Park's probably had to use the truck a little harder than he wanted to, you know. Just like I said, dirty air, sliding around a little bit more. He's using up his stuff, but it's late in the race. You got to go. You got to do what you can. Just keep right on stopping toward the front.
Great battle right here, all the way from the 4th position, the 50 of John Wood, back to the 75 truck right behind Steve Park. And that's David Starr in the 8th position.
Steve Park probably forcing his way around a few of the different trucks. And frustration has to set in a little bit. When you're running so well, you're running in 2nd place, and you come in and you have problems in the pits, and that drops you so far back.
It does. You know you got a good truck. You got to work your way back up, but you're still a little mad over the pit stop, even though there's nothing Steve can do about it. Even the crew has, that happens. You're going to have problems in the pits. But you just got to, you got to be careful. You got to take care of your truck. But there's not a whole lot of time to get up there. There's a lot of great trucks that he's got to pass to get there.
Great side by side. There's Steve on the inside. Look at David Starr. Look to the inside to try to make it 3 wide. Didn't quite get underneath Steve Park.
Steve Park a little loose there as he goes through 1 and 2. And the 18 on the outside, Chad Chaffin, looks as though he'll settle in, trying to take away the, it looks like, 5th position from Steve Park. What's happening with him, Ray?
Well, Rick, keep in mind that Chad spun early in this race, and then they came in and put tires on there at lap 17. From that point forward, his truck has been extremely loose. They weren't really sure what happened, and Chad's been trying to make it better. He said, I like running up on the high side because this thing's real loose like that. And he made that move to get around with these guys. But so far, Chaffin doing great work to get himself back in the top 5. It's been a long way for him to get through traffic.
Steve Park on the outside of David Starr. They've been running side by side for a few laps now, but Steve Park has a donut on the right side of his truck. Let's take a look at how he got that.
This was a few laps ago. We saw the 3 wide situation. David Starr, the 75 in the middle. Steve Park's going to move up the racetrack, get into the side of Chad Chaffin. No harm, no foul as they split the lap truck of Ken Weaver going down into the backstretch.
I think Steve Park was probably pretty happy that David Starr got out of the middle of that because he was coming up pretty quick. Might have had an incident there had he had kept his nose in there.
5th, 6th, and 7th go by your screen. And speaking of going by your screen, nobody's done it faster than Bobby Hamilton tonight. The Square D Dodge, number 4 of Bobby Hamilton, has led 122 laps from Kentucky Speedway. The crew very content with the way that truck's running. On speed, very disappointing ending for Terry Cook's day in the Power Stroke Diesel number 10. We're under caution number 5 for the result of that accident right there.
It's such a great run going. Let's see if we can take a look and see what might have happened. You see he's already in the wall right there. Hard contact with the outside wall.
We have an onboard camera. We're on board with Terry Cook earlier, and you see him. That's coming out of turn number 4 where he hits that wall very hard.
He sure did.
If we got the inboard, we got to just listen. You could almost hear the engine rev up just as in the back broke loose. Now, whether there was something on the track or something come from his truck, you could just hear the back end break loose, and he chased it all the way to the wall. And then also in that other view, we saw another truck get loose behind him. But it looks like Terry Cook's okay. Probably real disappointed. 12 laps to go in the race, running very well. They really needed that good run.
He had a sure top 5 going for Terry Cook. There's a team engineer right there. On what dejection he has there. Watch him. Oh boy, you got to feel his pain.
You definitely. I mean, as a driver, as a team, just everybody involved. I mean, a great run they were having. Like I say, just glad to see Terry Cook's okay. Pretty hard lick.
getting the truck put on the tow truck now, and so they will pull the number 10 behind the wall, and when we restart we'll be inside of 10 laps remaining in the Built Ford Tough 225 from Kentucky Speedway.
Awful lot of damage to that Power Stroke diesel Ford right there. Such a great run going. That's what's too bad. But at least they can leave here knowing that, hey, we've had a good run going. We were in the top 5. We were gonna finish in the top 5. Going to bring the trucks down pit road. I think there's probably so much debris on the racetrack, Johnny, that they want to bring them on pit road. They don't want to take any chances of anyone going through all that debris and cutting a tire down.
No, you know the safety crew workers are out there. They're picking up everything that they can. And it looked like as they pulled Terry Cook's truck away, there was no fluids there. So it's very possible that maybe the right rear started to go down, or maybe there was something else on the track. But very important that the crews the safety crew workers get out there, pick up all those pieces. We know that these trucks are going to be on these tires the rest of the race. Let's make sure you don't get a puncture just driving over a piece of debris.
Now, pit road is not actually open, but they're diverting the trucks down pit road so that they avoid any type of debris that possibly is on the front tri-oval.
Yeah, they do not want anyone to make a pit stop right now while all these trucks are coming down pit road. The trucks really are able to make a pit stop, but they would be penalized. They would have to go to the tail end of the longest line for pitting before pit road is essentially open.
Here's a truck that's making his way back out onto the track, and this is for probably just Carl Edwards' satisfaction to be able to come back out, because he won't be able to gain any position on the track. They just wanted to get back out onto the track and be running when the checkered flag comes out.
Plus, too, I mean, they're running for the championship. It gives the crews an opportunity, not that you want to do this, to fix a truck under this type of pressure just in case it happens, or maybe something different later on in the year.
So Carl Edwards makes it back out onto the track, and the trucks will go back down pit road again to avoid the tri-oval where Terry Cook's truck had problems coming out of 4 and came to rest just in front of the grandstands, where we had a great attendance tonight. 42,661 on hand to watch tonight's race, and they've seen a great one, and it started off very dismal. We weren't sure what was going to take place. They started this race under green and caution to help dry the track, because we had gone a little over an hour of just trying to dry the track, and we did get back underway. Dennis Setzer was out in front. Carl Edwards started on the outside because of qualifying was canceled with the rain. Lap 14, Bobby Hamilton decided that was enough. He wanted to be out in front. He had the strongest truck.
There's his teammate Chad Chapman on the inside of Rick Crawford, loses control, is able to keep the truck out of the wall, and still headed for a good top 10 finish.
And the next problem we had was Shane Meal. Looked like he had something in the right front brake, went up there, bumped the wall in the garage for a long time working on it.
Second of the points coming in, the number 99 on lap 69 breaks, and so he went behind the wall and has just come back out now.
Most recent caution flag, Terry Cook with hard contact with the outside wall with a Power Stroke diesel Ford.
NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series never ends under caution, and so we for sure will end green flag checkered, but we hope that they will start this with more than just 2 laps to go. Ray?
Well, Rick, down here with Chris Showalter, crew chief for Jack Sprague. You guys have made some good adjustments on that truck, made it better, but man, what about that Ford truck? A different zip code tonight.
Yeah, the Ford truck really strong tonight. Our Chevy truck Silverado has been running great all night. Jack's done a great job. Adjusted on it all night, made it a little bit better. Times were pretty close there at the end, but I don't know if Bobby's holding anything back, so we'll see if we can give him a run for his money.
All right, what about Jack on this restart? He got anything up his sleeve?
Jack's always been good on restarts, so is that 16 truck, so we'll see what happens.
All right, that's Chris Showalter. Now let's check in with Wendy.
Thanks, Ray. We've documented all night how Matt Crafton in the 6 truck has not had radio communication with his team. The only one he can talk to is spotter Rick Corelli. How frustrating is that for you, Wally?
Oh, it's frustrating as hell. I mean, now he's pretty much been telling Rick what the truck's doing. Rick's been relaying it back to me as much as he can. I got to tell you, Matt Crafton is doing an awesome job tonight. You know, a lot of people doubted Matt Crafton, but Matt Crafton is the man. And that GM Goodwrench crew, they're awesome.
So what kind of adjustments have you made not being able to talk to your driver?
I kind of guessed the first stop, Corelli was trying to kind of give me some feedback. We made a pretty good guess, I guess. So we're a little bit free. We're still just a little too free right now. I don't know. We'll see if we got something for them old people up there.
Now, Matt Crafton, we've watched him on these restarts at the end of the race. Do you think he has it for the end?
I don't know. You know, at the start of the year, he kind of complained a little bit about the transmission ratios, but I think he's got them figured out right now.
All right, that's Matt Crafton. He can't talk to his driver, so he'll talk to us. Rick Allen?
Matt Crafton trying to have his career best finish. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series built Ford Tough 225 on Speed Channel is brought 5 on Speed. We're about to get underway again after 5 cautions. Bobby Hamilton out in front, 5 laps to go.
Real critical for Bobby Hamilton to get a great restart here. He did not want to spin the wheels. He didn't want to miss a gear. Looks like he was able to get a good, clean restart. Jack Sprague staying right with him. Look at David Starr looking at Matt Crafton on the inside.
Starr on the inside tries to take away the 3rd position from Matt Crafton. He will do it down the back stretch, and Starr moves into striking distance of our leader.
Jack Sprague able to stay right with Bobby Hamilton. No one's been able to do that this entire night.
Now, looks like Bobby's truck takes a couple laps to get going, and you know Jack Sprague's running this thing as hard as he can, trying to see if he can at least get up on the back of Bobby there, try to maybe get him loose.
Look at him, look to the outside.
Here we go for the lead. Bobby Hamilton on the inside. Jack Sprague tucking in behind him. Now he goes to the low side. They're side by side as they go into turn 3.
You know, Jack's going to run this thing into this corner as hard as he can. He slides up in front of Bobby Hamilton, and Jack Sprague's in the lead.
Look at David Starr.
David Starr in the Spears Manufacturing 75. They're side by side for second with 4 laps of racing to go. It is Jack Sprague out in front.
No one's been able to touch Bobby Hamilton this entire day. Look at, here he goes.
Bobby Hamilton's been able to get back up into 2nd place. Still got a couple laps to go after Jack Sprague. Let's see what he can do with him with 4 to go.
Watch him look on the outside, Rick.
Here comes David Starr on the inside in the Spears Manufacturing 75. 1, 2, and 3 coming out of turn number 4. Jack Sprague, Bobby Hamilton, David Starr, 3 to go. Rick Crawford comes spinning out of turn number 4. He'll spin through the infield and come to rest in the built Ford Tough 225 logo that's painted in the infield. No caution flies, and now they do throw the caution. And so caution will come out. That means we will have green, white, checker. And that means that Jack Sprague is one lucky man to be in front of Bobby Hamilton.
Wow.
I think he's going to be in a good situation here. We saw how good Jack Sprague was in that first short little run where Bobby Hamilton took a little bit to get going. Jack's probably liking this right now.
Bobby had a great restart, so I said, hey, he's going to have no problem, but Jack Sprague stayed right with him, was able to make the pass, able to stay in front. There's Chris Showalter, his crew chief. Jack saying, oh, I wish this thing would have went green to the end of the race. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened to Rick Crawford. Rick made a pit stop on that last caution flag. He gave up a top 10 position to make his way onto pit road. There he's right on the bottom of the racetrack. He was in the bottom of 3 trucks.
John Wood was just closest to him.
Just got a little bit loose, it looked like, on the bottom of the racetrack. Watch that truck take a wild ride through the infield.
Saw just a small piece of debris fly up there in turn 4. That might be what the caution was, more so than Rick Crawford being down here in the grass.
Take another look at it. Rick's going to look to the inside of John Wood. Looks like he might have just pinched the truck a little bit, lost the back end, slid through the infield grass.
Also a second incident taking place when Rick Crawford got spun around. The 02 of Kelly Sutton gets spun around as well coming out of 4.
Bill Lester able to get by on the inside in the 22 Toyota.
Looks like you can see that piece of debris right there. They need to get that picked up. just so nobody comes around, runs it over, has another problem on the track.
We're going to have a green-white checker more than likely. We're completing lap 149 right now.
With more on Rick Crawford's troubles, Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, I just wanted to let you know why Crawford was back there. He was running 9th on the racetrack before Terry Cook had his wreck, but when he did, Rick Crawford ran over a big piece of debris that came out of Terry Cook's truck, so he flattened his his right rear tire, excuse me. That's why he came to pit road. That's why he had to give up 9th position. When he restarted, he was 15th, and that's why he was back in that position.
There are 16 trucks on the lead lap. Rick Crawford being shown in 16th.
You see his team picking lug nuts off the ground and off a little string that they have on there, because these are more than likely tires that have already been on the truck. They didn't have any lug nuts glued onto them. They did not expect to have to use these tires, but they didn't want to take a chance on the flat spotted tires from the spin just now, so they're putting tires on that have already been on the truck, but they're going to be a lot better than flat spotted tires.
I would think right now the most frustrated person would be Steve Park. He came in second on the last set of pit stops, and because he didn't have a good stop, Bobby Hamilton was able to get out front, and then Jack Sprague had a great stop on that last pit stop, was able to get out second, and now all of a sudden we've got a great battle for the lead because Jack Sprague will start in front of the strongest truck in the field, Bobby Hamilton.
Probably Bobby Hamilton too, because you know he was out leading, had a good lead. All of a sudden now he's behind the 16, and we'll take it down to Ray.
Hey, Johnny, wanted to give you some green-white checkered stats. Tonight is the 228th race in this series. This will be the 46th time that we've had a green-white checkered. Now, there are 2 drivers in the history of this series that have been involved in 10 of them, Jack Sprague and Ron Hornaday. When I say involved in 10 of them, I mean either in first or second position. 5 times Jack Sprague has been the winner. 5 times Jack Sprague has been in second place. So that is the green-white checkered stats you need to know. For Bobby Hamilton, he's only been involved in 2 of them.
I'm really curious as to what happened with Bobby Hamilton. As dominant as he's been, you know, he didn't look like he was really off on the previous restarts. He's been able to maintain the lead the entire race, was able to drive away from all the trucks that were right behind him. But this restart, he didn't seem to go quite as good as he has earlier.
Well, he did take off decent, but he hasn't been, that speed wasn't there that we had earlier. Now that he's going to be just in a little bit different position, he's not going to have as clean air. Obviously, the tires are wore, and maybe Jack's truck at this point in time has, been a little bit better. Plus, that stat, if you let halfway, you're not going to win. We've seen that. Be interesting to see how it's going to fold out.
42,000 plus are on their feet for a green-white checkered finish at Kentucky Speedway. Mike Dolan pulls the pace truck down to pit road. Jack Sprague will lead the field to the start-finish line. Can Jack Sprague hold off Bobby Hamilton? We're going to find out.
So critical for Jack Sprague to get a good start. Bobby Hamilton right on his rear bumper. Look at him look to the inside.
Race for the lead is won by Bobby Hamilton as they go into turn number 1.
Incredible. What a run by Bobby Hamilton on the inside.
He's seen this happen to him. He says, you know what, I'm going to try this move back, but he's got to hold it for 2 laps or a lap and a half now. We'll see how he's going to do. Jack's truck looks pretty good. You got David Starr right there wanting to make a move also.
Bobby Hamilton's last win on a 1.5 mile track came in Atlanta, and it was a great battle there as he battled Mike Skinner in a green-white checkered finish, and Skinner actually crossed the start-finish line sideways, and now David Starr wants to get into the mix as Starr has thrown the Spears 75 manufacturing right up into the mix. He tries to go to the inside of Jack Sprague, but Bobby Hamilton out in front of this field as they come out of turns 3 and 4. They're going to see the white flag.
This is the last lap. This will be for the win right here.
The checkered comes out for Bobby Hamilton, who wins the Built Ford Tough 225.
Steve Park having a great battle there with Chad Chaffin there for standing up 6. Ted Musgrave came from a long way back also and up 7.
Look at Bobby Hamilton's crew. You know they have to be excited. Looked like with a green-white checker, they were in second position after dominating this race the entire night. And all of a sudden, Bobby Hamilton was able to drive to the inside of Jack Sprague and take over the lead for the win.
On his 60th career start in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, Bobby Hamilton claims his third win of 2004. We'll be back with celebration from Kentucky Speedway. Donuts in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. This is the third victory.
Pretty cool stuff there, isn't it?
Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman.
After turning left all night, that's the right-hand turn he wanted to make into victory lane.
Under the lights at Kentucky Speedway, Bobby Hamilton making his way to victory lane. He brings the Square D Dodge number 4 to a stop. The Craftsman toolbox goes on top, and Ray Dunlap is with our winner.
I'll tell you what, it just doesn't get much more exciting than that, but you remember we had a real close finish at Atlanta with Bobby Hamilton too. These guys, he's going to get his helmet loose here. We normally have time for him to sit in here a little bit, but Bobby, come on out of there, buddy. I know he's got some more work to do to get out of that, but a big smile on the face here. Bobby Hamilton now with 7 wins in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Here he comes, folks, your winner in a green-white checkered finish with Jack Sprague. Man, you had them all worried, Bobby, whenever that last restart happened when Sprague went by you. What happened there?
I just spun the tires a little bit, and I knew I would. This thing ain't very good on restarts, but I seen what he did. He got a good roll, and that let me get my RPMs up a little bit. And I got to thank Joey Arrington. I mean, it was all motor that pulled out and passed him right there. But good day for the Square D Dodge, the Dickies Dodge, Lufkin Tools, the Dodge engineers again. I mean, this thing was flawless ever since we unloaded it.
Within 6 points in the championship chase, so that is really unbelievable the way things have unfolded in the last couple of weeks.
Well, I've been telling them, let's don't even pay any attention to it. We didn't even know where we was number-wise. A bunch of them, we come in there, so we just try to keep our nose to the grind and stone and win races.
Tell me about how much fun that is going green-white checker.
It's not fun. It's fun for you. It's no fun for me.
It's fun for us.
Yeah, well, I've been pretty lucky on it. I didn't think I was too good at it, but I'm starting to think I'm pretty good at it.
All right, congratulations. Bobby Hamilton in victory lane with the Square D Dodge. Wendy?
All right, I've caught up with Jack Sprague, our second place finisher, with his daughter Paige standing right here. Jack, you're usually the king of green-white checkers. What was it like out there?
Well, first of all, the restart before the last one, I think Bobby had, a bunch of cat litter and oil dry on his tires because he was the class of the field. I mean, we all should be embarrassed. I mean, he ran off and hit from every one of us, but we were second best, and the Chevy truck Chevrolet drove awesome. It was unbelievable, right on the white line. The longer the run, the better it got. But he had us all covered, and it kind of caught me by surprise when I got it on him on a restart. I thought, well, cool. And I looked back, and David was racing him, and I thought, man, I think I can block him for a lap or two. But I knew that last restart, if that was the problem the first time, that it wasn't going to take long. And I never lifted. I mean, I matted it and went down through 1 and 2 on the outside. Didn't get him the outside because I knew that's what he would prefer. And he didn't lift either, but he went underneath me and passed me clean and got ahead of me. So I was shocked to get ahead of him in the first place. So second place is good. I mean, finally made a little bit of money and finally had an uneventful evening. That's pretty cool. And the Chevy Truck Silverado was awesome. Just thank all the guys that did a great job in the pits, and Chris and Dave did a great job setting the truck up, and couldn't ask for a better driving truck.
All right, Jack Sprague, he didn't think he had a good truck at the start of the race, but he gave it all he got.
Great battle for first, second, and third, but when they were about to come across the start-finish line, on a phenomenal battle for 5th position. Steve Park and Chad Chaffett.
Make contact once, twice, 2 or 3 times. Look how sideways Steve Park is there. Almost overcorrected. Chad Chaffin just nips him at the line for a top 5 finish.
Maybe 2 feet separate 5th and 6th. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series finish from Kentucky Speedway for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Bobby Hamilton claims the top spot. Jack Sprague holding on for second. David Starr with a very impressive performance coming home third.
Matt Crafton, career best finisher 4th, continues to get better and better.
David Ruderman, the top rookie finishing tonight. Shane Sieg finishing 13th. Shane Sieg moving into second solely in the Rebestos Rookie of the Year award contending.
Our point leader, Dennis Setzer, all the way back up to 11th. They looked like he was going to finish 15th or 16th. Managed to salvage an 11th place finish.
Carl Edwards, a very disappointing points night for him and a very disappointing race, finishing 33rd. Standing by with our 3rd place finisher, David Starr, Wendy Norris.
It's all smiles for David Starr. You tied your season best finish of third. You would have thought you won this race. You were so happy when you got out of the truck.
I tell you what, that Chevy Silverado was pretty awesome. It come alive right there at the end. I tell you, I got on the side of Bobby. I got a good run off of 4, got beside him, and thought I was going to drive into turn 1 a little bit deeper than he did. And I tell you what, I can't believe his truck stuck. He must have drove it in there all the way to the center and got back by me on the back straightaway. But I tell you what, the Spears team, Dave McCarty and all the guys, the way our luck's been the last month, we'll take this top 5 finish. Thought we was going to have a good run last week and had a fuel pump problem, and we're just excited to finish in the top 5, and maybe that'll turn our season around. We can get some momentum. And I'd like to say hi to, if I can, Wayne and Connie Spears. They're not here with us this race, and I just want to tell my owners hello, and we miss you.
Okay, let's go to the booth.
Ford point standings taking a little bit of a change here. Dennis Setzer holding on to his lead, but 6 points separate him and Bobby Hamilton with a very strong performance tonight.
A big hit in the points for Carl Edwards. He was within 34 points of Dennis Setzer. Now he's 100 behind. Bobby Hamilton moves in a second.
Hamilton celebrating in victory lane. Our next truck race will be Gateway International Raceway just outside of St. Louis. That is 1 week from today, July 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Another night race for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And fireworks are definitely flying not only above the track, but also on the track. It was an eventful start to this race. Rain wiped out everything yesterday. We started under green caution. Bobby Hamilton and Bobby Hamilton Racing teammate Chad Chaffin came into this race with the strongest trucks. Problems caught a few drivers tonight, but they were not able to catch the number 4 of Bobby Hamilton. Bobby Hamilton dominating from Kentucky Speedway, claiming his 3rd win of 2004. The Square D Dodge celebrates in victory lane.